do the thing. Hello and welcome to On the Esky. The boys are all back at the table today. And on this episode, we're going to get stuck into a preview for round 1 of the AFL. We're 1 and a bit games in. And then we're going to follow that up with round 2 of the NRL. And then we're going to go deep into the NFL, free agency, and then finish up with a roundup of everything else in our final round. But I think we're very keen to get stuck into this, but I think Pepe's got a shout out.
Yeah, footy's back, and to mark that, shout out to any of the TV AFC lads that might be tuning in for the first time. Love you boys. We're going to have a ripping season, and I hope you enjoy listening to me, Macca, and two lads, 2 larrikins, 2 nuffies, talk about sport, drink some beers, try and be analytical, try and have a couple of opinions, and yeah, let's roll into it.
Yeah.
We'll start with the AFL.
Introductions first. Macca on my right,
Yep.
Pepe and Monks on the left. My name is Sean, and we will get stuck into this.
Let's go on the Esky. So we are currently 5 minutes to go in the first quarter between Carlton and Richmond. Come on, you blue baggers. Carlton actually up by 5 points at the moment. Will be interesting to see how they go at the end of the podcast.
Dusty had a great shot and goal before.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the new rule first, and then we'll come back to this?
Yeah. While the game's going on in the background, we'll sort of introduce the season that is ahead, and obviously the talking point. We were talking about it last week on the pod about the AFL stays very quiet until they feel like no one's paying attention to them. So they'll introduce a new rule, or they'll talk about how far 15 metres is for a kick, and normally it's just a chance to get it trending on Twitter, but this time they've actually followed through with this new...
Well, we were talking about the green shirt last week, so we were very much on topic. So.
This was 3 days ago.
Yeah, exactly. We were filming. So we were talking about the old rule they had with the sub vest, the old 3 on the bench and 1 sub, and then, everyone worked out that didn't work, so it went away, and now... a variation of it, I guess you could call it, is back. Yeah. It's this. It is. I think they're just calling it the injury replacement sub. There's no way that's what it's called. That sounds horrible. They've got people on 6 figures coming
like that.
No, it was a medical sub and
medical sub. There you go.
You were right, but it's to cover everything. So
it's to cover. Yeah.
I think there was some mention that if a player was going to be injured and miss the next 12 days, then you could use the sub. But I don't know how they were going to work that out during the game. But the idea is if you can't continue and can't keep playing and they think it's a significant injury enough, they can sub on and get a replacement.
Yeah. So the concussion rule that's in place now is if you get concussed and miss you're ruled concussed, you're ruled out for that game, you have to spend 12 days out. Yes. Can't train, can't play. So that was where the 12 days has sort of come from.
Yeah.
That's initially what they were going to bring this sub rule on as, and everyone's uproared and said, you can't bring that rule on. It's going to get rorted. Everyone's going to abuse that. So they've made it an injury rule. So if you nick a hammy or roll an ankle or something, you can be subbed out, but they've kept that 12 days.
Yeah, it's got to be something significant.
Yeah, exactly right. So if
you're... It's like, I've got cramp. All right, medical sub.
Yeah, exactly right. You can choose to do that, but then that player can't come in for 12 days. And I was listening to some players talk about it throughout the week, and they were all saying, I think you could tell across the board, people didn't actually think they'd bring the rule in this week. But they'd said... the coach might have, there might be the 22nd or 21st player picked, a fringe player who can't get a kick, and he's not playing again. So you could say, he hurt his ankle, he's not going to play anyway, so he's out for 12 days. The AFL have come out and said their confident teams won't abuse it, and they use the examples of the Essendon drug saga, Melbourne tanking, Carlton on the salary cap. They've said, teams have cheated before, and we've caught them.
Yep.
We've caught all the teams that have cheated, and they've suffered for it. So that's what the AFL sort of come back and hit back and said, this is a rule. You can choose to abuse it if you wish. You will get found out for it. This stuff does come out in the wash. It'll come out. It takes one person to say one thing to a reporter, which happens a lot, and then it's released. So that's how they're coming at it. I actually like the rule. I think the rule's very good.
Yeah, and the intent behind the rule, obviously, we've spoken about concussion before here. It needs to be spoken about more.
To protect the players.
We're learning more and more about it. The intent, I believe, from the AFL is good. Player welfare is in mind. The problem is the loopholes. And
the loopholes. I think more for mine is the timing. You know, the day before the season starts. Oh, by the way, here's a new rule. You can have a whole nother player on the field. Technically,
this was like me doing an assignment back at high school. The season starts tomorrow. I better get this assignment done. Like
12:55.
Might start it now.
Yeah. So what? And the time I saw Luke Beveridge come out in the media today, and he said, and he blasted it. Again, same thing. He said the rules. You know, the rule's the rule. Whatever it is, whatever the AFL says, you have to follow it. You can't say, no, we're not doing that. But to announce it the night before or the day before the season starts, how can you prepare that? Like Carlton and Richmond probably had their team set, and now they're told, have another player thrown in there.
Got to go, tell someone else.
Yeah, exactly. You might get a game. And then Beveridge actually, he came out and he said, well, if you pick... because you pick 4 emergencies and then one instead of having 3 emergencies, you pick 4 and then one becomes the 23rd player. That 23rd player can't train that day. Hence, so you need to get a coach in the next morning to train with him. And with all the COVID cuts, they've had their assistant coaches decimated. Your funding for assistant coaches isn't there anymore. So now you got to pay a bloke to come in on a Saturday morning, do a one-on-one session with this bloke, keep him up to speed, because if you missed a couple of weeks in the AFL because you were the 23rd man, you didn't play, you're going to lose fitness. And in a high octane sport like this, you can't afford to fall off the 5%.
Especially cardio based, where you need meters in your legs.
Yeah, and consistency, especially early on in the season. As you said, we're seeing how scrappy this game is sort of towards the end of the first quarter. You know, it's a greasy MCG deck, but first round, it looks wet, but it looks scrappy because these players haven't played footy. So if you're not playing early, you're going to take a while to warm up into the season, and some of these teams can't afford to take a couple of weeks to really warm up into it. So again, the rule, it's here, and people can debate it. That's what the off-season was for, to debate it. To announce it the day before, I just found that shocking and poor. Yeah,
it's a bit rude.
Wasn't it? A bit rude indeed. So again, you can be angry with it, but it's here to stay. It's like when the umpire says you pushed him in the back, you can whinge and complain all you want, but you pushed him in the back. So you've got to cop it. That's what the rule is. But yeah, it was interesting to see if you're 23rd man, you're going to get a premiership medal despite playing on the day. So
we were questioning that last week on the Esky.
Yeah.
I'd love to go back to before, Mac, you were saying the AFL's come out and said, we're going to catch you cheating. We're going to catch you cheating. Catching someone on a salary cap, or, there's measurables. It's objective. Catching people with peptides, you can do blood tests. How do you catch someone faking an injury?
Well, all of this, how do you find out about a bloke on peptides? Someone says something.
Okay.
How do you find out about the salary cap?
Ships?
Yeah, I was actually getting paper bags under the table. Okay. The Demons tanking was people saying, we know that they weren't picking the best team. Like I was told I'm not going to get picked despite them in the top 22.
Yes, okay.
So it's going to come out, some... I see,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
And with all the Trelaw stuff at Collingwood, someone's had to said something about that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're exactly right. I think that's what the AFL have said. Like, there's been all this stuff. We're starting to get some scoring here. We're loving this in the footy as Richmond tied up at 20-all with 2 minutes left in the first.
I think that metric or that limit, that 12-day kind of gives an indicator. So if you're faking injury and going off, but then you're playing the next week, then that's clear that, hey, that's not working. And I don't think most teams will try to... they've got their starting guys, their 23rd blokes, the guy that's coming off as that a medical sub isn't a guy you probably want in your starting
team.
Good
point. If he's good enough, he's in the team.
Exactly. But it's a fresh set of legs. It's a fresh set of legs. If I don't care how good you are, if you're coming on at the end of 3 quarters.
It's the loophole in the interchange,
exactly. And it's not like you're going to pull...
It's a free sub.
You're not pulling Dusty Martin. You're pulling someone when you're going, you probably weren't making the 22 next week anyway. Come off and we'll get a fresh set of legs.
Who knows what you could do? A forward line, kick a goal, which,
Or an extra defender.
I'm not an AFL coach. I can barely... understand getting myself around a park footy field, and I'm working out these loopholes. Yeah. You could imagine, what Dimmer and Buckley and whoever else.
But I'd also say though, if your extra bloke is a defender, and then a bloke that's getting injured is a defender in the third quarter, and you're putting fresh legs out there, the league's probably going to look at that and go, "Okay, you've got this one, and if they do it again next week, and the week after,
the doctor says he had a sprained ankle."
But one off is okay, but the coincidence of it happening week in, week out,
over and over again.
Yeah, they can say, "Hey, that can't be right."
Yeah. So if everyone's using this sub pretty much every game, every week, then
It should be a rare occurrence, and it should be
I get
pretty
you, I get
clear
you.
that it was on
You
the
can,
head.
you can sneak a beer out of Dad's beer fridge, but when the case goes,
Well, yeah, you can fill his vodka bottle with water, but eventually he's going to drink it and be like, "Wait, this ain't vodka anymore."
shout out to Nonna if you're listening.
Don't go in the liquor cabinet or whatever you do.
This one goes back 70 years. Her sister Gina used to sneak a bit of my great nonna's vino.
The grappa.
The wine actually, and water it down. And then he started realising this wine tastes like shit. What's going on? So it's an age-old trick, that one. Anyways, I think we've discussed it enough.
It'll be interesting to see. You'll see it in the first month.
Yeah.
What it's being used for.
Yeah, that's right. Take-home message. I think good intent from the AFL. Rude that they'd announce it so late. Will it be abused, or will it actually benefit player welfare? Time will
Actually,
tell.
final question: do you think the players would stand for it? As in, I've got like a little twig, and the coach is like, "Hey, I'm going to hook you because I want this free interchange." Is he going to be like, "Well, I want to keep playing. Like, I'm in the starting squad. I'm good enough to be in the starting squad. I don't want to be that interchange bloke." I guess
it probably depends on the player, doesn't it?
There's
Someone
some
that's
team
fighting
first.
week in, week out to
get
be
picked,
in that 22. Yeah, they're probably not real keen about it.
Yeah.
But if it's Dusty's going to
Yeah,
go,
exactly.
Fuck off.
Danger or fire.
But they're not the ones that are going to get. So again, like you said,
They're not going to. They're not going to give a fuck.
Yeah.
But those guys that are pushing week in, week out to make the start in 22. Yeah, they might think differently.
Good point. Well, we'll see what happens anyway.
Yeah.
All right, let's run through some games. So I guess Richmond versus Carlton is the game currently going. It's now 21-20.
Nice and close. It's about to be the end of the first quarter. Obviously been the opening fixture for, I think, the last 13 years now. Carlton haven't beaten Richmond in this fixture since 2013, so 8 in a row for the Tigers. The last 5 meetings, though, very, very consistent margins. Tigers have won all 5, but the margins have been 24, 28, 33, 26, 26. So Blue Bag has been there or thereabouts, and I think in a lot of those games they really got run over in the fourth quarter. So they're not getting blown out. They're on the improve, but Richmond's just so consistent.
Yeah, they've got that relentless pressure that actually translates. And we talk about warming into the season and not quite having your footy legs and being a bit unfit. Their game is actually not about being silky smooth and having the precision passes by foot. It's about small forwards chasing, pressure, tackling. That stuff.
Tackling pressure.
That stuff you can practice all off season. You're ready to go round one with that. The skills then you can work throughout the season, and that's why they've been so good for so long. It seems so basic, If the ball hits the deck, you fly, and then you play a bit of territory, but it's worked. No one's been able to copy it. So
and they do it better than anyone else.
Oh, absolutely.
Seeing footage the other night of Liam Baker and Jaden Short just chasing guys for 50, 60 metres and getting rewarded with holding the ball after they put in that effort.
Yeah. It's not even that. It's that knockdown, and by the time they've chased and put that pressure, their back six, led by Grimes and a couple of other players that have gone in with sort of the retirement of Rance.
Yeah,
if it's scrappy up forward,
Asprey,
you can set up down back.
Yeah.
You can set up down back, and it's from there that they can then launch it forward again. It's just relentless until you kick a goal.
Yep.
And then you go again. They got a guy wearing number 4 around there who's pretty handy to have in any situation. Doesn't know what your game plan is. So, I guess my biggest question with Richmond going into the year is we talk about Dustin. His accolades are nearly rival anyone who's played the game. And
three enormous miss.
And you watch him play even tonight when it goes near him that everyone sort of stops and watches what's going to happen, and even the opposition. My biggest question with Richmond is, and it's why I kind of can't figure him out, is who's the second best player? If Dusty is to go down, who's their next best player?
Fills in.
Yeah,
Well,
and no one
you can't fill.
no one
can't
fills in
cover
for Dusty,
that,
but if he goes out, are they just an average team? Does he make them that much better? Because we talk about the simple game plan, and he's the class around the edges. Is there any? I don't know. Obviously, again, no one steps up and goes, "Oh, I'm going to be the freak who gets 30 and kicks 3 goals." But how do you replace that? So I don't even know if you name Richmond's top 5 players if you'd be confident that they're 5 of the best in the comp. So it's
in his mould, no. There's no one that can be a bull through the middle and then go up front and sneak 3 goals in a quarter. Like they've got no one that matches that fit.
So
you've got your Cochin who can cruise around the midfield and get a few uncontested possessions, but you don't have anyone that's just going to
Yeah, a real match winner. And I guess you know, not teams aren't built on multiple match winners. He's the one that puts them over the edge. It's just interesting to think who else they have on there. And obviously, they're the name. They've all won premiership medals, so they're all good footy players. But it's
they've built that culture now where they've got the winning bug, and they are going for the three-peat this year. It's only happened 2 other times in the AFL era. The Hawks 13, 14, 15. The Lions 01, 02, 03. Be very interesting to see. If they can manage it, they're definitely right up there.
Yeah.
We were talking about our big 4, our big 5, I guess.
They're definitely in there. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Them, Geelong,
West Coast, Port.
and you're trying to sneak the doggies in there.
Oh, did you say the Dogs? Yeah, I reckon the Dogs will be good peps, actually. Yeah, good point. I actually do think the Bulldogs will be very good this year. Interesting you'd say that. Yeah,
that's
very
a good segue,
point.
actually, because Collingwood play the Western Bulldogs tomorrow night. It is the Treloar grudge match, if you will.
Yeah, the Adam Treloar.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was built up all throughout the off season. You know, it was probably the biggest storyline to come out of the sort of trade period, the Collingwood sort of salary cap crisis they were in, and they were offloading players left and right, and they got rid of a bloke who they just signed to a 5-year, multi-million-dollar deal, and then not even 12 months later they were looking to ship him out. And then the way it sort of came out, they were saying, blaming his mental health, and they were saying because his wife obviously is up on the Brisbane plays netball. They're up there with the young daughter, and Collingwood still to this day, they stick strong to the fact that they said to Treloar, you're not going to be able to perform with your wife on, a couple hours, not a couple hours away on the other side of the East Coast. And he maintained he's going to be fine. They
question his professionalism.
Yeah, they pretty much rinsed
everything
him.
when they could have just put their hand up and said, we kind of fucked up the salary cap here.
We can't
you're
pay
an
you.
awesome player, but we can't keep you. Go get your quid somewhere else. You'll be a great fit somewhere else.
Yeah, we'll accommodate it for you if you want to. Like instead of doing that,
they're trying to put it all on him.
That's a bad guy.
And it boiled over, and I think we've got in the notes here. He had that interview on 360 throughout the week.
Yeah.
It was raw. It was very. It was to just see him. And he's been talking about it non-stop over the last couple of months. Obviously it's a big story, and he made the point. He's been talking about Collingwood for 6 months. The whole time he's been a Bulldogs player. I think Robbo's a piece of shit. Sorry, I shouldn't say that.
Robbo's all right. I was saying to you, he's no buzz.
He's no buzz. Okay. If we're measuring everyone up against buzz, we're all angels, so that's all right. But he said he's sick of talking about Collingwood, and Treloar could see the relief leave his body. He said, can we talk about the Western Bulldogs, the team I actually play for?
Yeah.
So
I think he said, how are you feeling about this Friday night? And he goes, I just can't wait for it to be over. And I feel a great sense of relief once it's done.
You'd hope it'd be that way, but if he has a shocking game, then it'd be in the media for the next month. Until they meet again, and then he'll smash him, and it'll be the same thing.
When he kicks a goal, you watch that. You'll see every member of the Bulldogs tackle him.
17 blokes around.
Yeah, and he'll cop lip, and he'll give some lip. He's a bit of a chirpy player. They'll go back and forth on each other, and that's what footy is. It's just you just hope he can move on and shake this, because he loves the Collingwood Football Club. He still says that.
And he wanted to retire there.
Yeah, I think Buckley was a childhood hero of his, and he was the one who sort of gave him the final sort of, sorry, mate, you're out of here. You throw in all the stuff with Collingwood over the off-season, with Eddie getting sacked, the
absolute shitstorm that was.
Yeah, absolutely, which still sort of lingers around the club. That wasn't that long ago. We were sitting here talking about it. So,
well, that's it. It says something about, it might say something about the culture of the leadership of the club.
100%.
Yeah, everything this off-season.
Everything, these aren't, one-off things. It sort of builds up, So, yeah, I think it'll be, again, I reckon he just gets one, has a bounce, kicks one from 55. I can see it now, and they just get around him, and he'll probably cry, the poor bastard. But the worst thing that'll happen is he'll get booed from Pies fans. He just will. But that's part of going to the footy. He knows he's going to get it, and he seems like the type of guy that thrives off that, kind of like, all right, let's go. I want to prove you guys wrong. I'm going to prove everyone wrong.
Big time players always do, don't they?
Yeah, and he's a gun, and he's going to slot into that midfield. I don't know who's going to get the ball. I mean, you got Treloar, McRae, Bontempelli, Lockie Hunter, Bailey Smith's come on. So Paddy Lipinski. Do you want me to keep going? I'll name the whole starting 22 if you want me to. So
we might not have time.
We may not have time.
Who we will mention is Ollie Henry, who's going to debut for Collingwood. And Steele, Sidebottom, and Chris Main unavailable.
Yeah, Sidebottom
So-
still hurt, older body, and obviously one of the better players in the competition.
I think the Bulldogs are legitimate favourites here and should win this game.
Well, they opened underdogs, which would I think the market swung 100 there.
Yeah, $1.77 at the moment. Collingwood's
Yeah,
$2.10.
dogs were just $1.99 at the opens, but everyone's jumped all over them. So it'd be interesting to see what the line is there if you've got it, Pep or Jim.
Munchkin, you grab that.
A couple other debutants there for the dogs. It's again, we're not going to get into a Western Bulldogs selection debate, but Lockie McNeil and what was his name? Scott. I actually can't remember his name. Anthony Scott. Anthony Scott for the Bulldogs. So two younger boys to come in and try and fit in, sort of small forward types.
I think that Anthony Scott got the BNF Footscray back in 2019. Obviously, no season last year.
Yeah.
He's sort of a mid that can go forward.
So he's been around it for 12 months, and it seems, God, following every member of the Bulldogs on social media, they get around him, and he's a good young kid.
He's about 25.
Yeah,
I think.
So
making his AFL debut.
Mature body, and Beveridge loves that. He loves throwing a lifeline to those sort of underdog stories. I don't know if you get much midfield time. Like I said, I didn't even mention Josh Dunkley, who's in there.
Yep.
They are stacked in the midfield, so maybe a smaller forward type, like we see what Richmond have done. Get some no-name, small, quick guys, and you tackle your life out, and you'll get a game. So maybe Beveridge is trying to get into that mould.
What happened with Johannisen?
Well, someone's got to miss out when your teams. Yeah, so half back line, speedy half backman. He won the Norm Smith in that granny in 2016 and got a big contract after that, and sort of hasn't really fulfilled that promise. I think he had that, he's quick, he can kick, he's a 100-meter player because he grabs it, he runs 30, he kicks at 60, so which is not 100 meters, but you know what I'm saying.
We're no good at quick maths on this.
No quick math. If you're expecting that, then you need to unsubscribe, but don't unsubscribe. So he got squeezed out. I think Bailey Dale's going to play a role across half back. We saw in the preseason, so maybe they want a bit more class, precision. We got Caleb Daniel back there, worry about hitting a target more than just running and speed. So I hand up sort of wanted JJ to go on the trade block last off-season while his trade value was high, try and get rid of that cap number. But cap number, God, I'm talking to NFL now. But I think he'll lose a bit of trade value now. He can get tagged as well, but you put a small forward on him, he actually gets tagged out of the game. So I wonder if they're telling him, go down the VFL, earn your spot back, dominate, come back red hot. So we'll see,
Obviously not the best for Jason Johannisen, but when you're leaving guys like that out, it speaks volumes of the Dogs' depth this year.
Yeah, for sure.
Jamara Ugle-Hagan was the number one overall draft pick.
Yeah, a bit controversial type. Number one draft, team makes finals and gets the pick first. But we've talked about the academy pick. He is a superstar and will be a superstar, and we'll all be talking about him for years to come. I think it's just a thing of you're a 18-year-old centre-half forward, you need to earn your spot, play against some big bodies, wrestle a couple blokes, jump on some heads, kick some goals, and then he'll play this year. He'll play finals with the team. He'll come in throughout the year and be a mainstay of that forward line, I imagine. Yeah, he's a freak. He has it all.
Got Mia Fev hanging off the shoulder.
Well, yeah, big. Mia Fev, we won't make any comments about, whoever people choose to be with. We're all fans of that on the Esky. But Dad, of course.
Unless they're Kendall Jenner.
I was just going to bring
we weren't making fun of that. She put together a very strong starting five.
A great starting five.
That's a playoff team.
A great starting
That's
five.
That's a playoff team from Kendall. But
it's just a different sport. So Mia Fev would have a lot to go.
I hope she doesn't feel out of team for her sake. She doesn't need 18. Yeah. But we've gotten too much.
No, that's right. And Fev Senior had a bit to say about it. It'd be hard when it's your daughter and she's young and there's she's copping a lot of stick.
She's trying to find love. Leave her alone.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
he's a handsome young man.
Absolutely. And they talk about Josh Battle from the Saners and was it Dan Rioli?
Dan Rioli.
God, she's a Melbourne girl who's dated Melbourne footy players, and I think she'd be one of about 3 million who have done it. So, to be honest, I think it's no news if she wasn't Feb's daughter, we wouldn't hear about it. So it's God, if you're trolling a girl for who she's dating, then you're a piece. So, and you're probably a virgin. There you go on the Esky hot take.
And on that note, we might move.
I think we talked about the Dogs enough. Who we picking? I know who you're picking.
Well, I just wanted to mention very quickly my man crush in as a wannabe ruckman here in Canberra, Brodie Grundy. The last 3 times he's gone up against Tim English and the Dogs, 9 Brownlow votes.
Yeah, not bad.
He could decide this game. him and Gawn, you'd say, are the best.
Oh yeah,
best
one
two.
and 1A. You can't even really separate them over the last few
and then
years.
and then probably Daylight.
Yeah, bit of Nick Nat up there coming back to form, and a bunch
yeah.
of guys coming through, and the Dogs are hoping Timmy English is one of them, and this is the test. You need to step up here, and they've brought in Steph Martin this year as a veteran. He's 34, I think. He's one of those big uglies who's going to bump in a Brody Grundy and bruise him a bit. So when English jumps into him, we can hopefully work him over. So. Can't wait for Friday night footy. It's great to have it back at the G. So this has been a bit of a fixture the last couple of years as well. Pies, Dogs on Friday night. So
who's everyone going? Don't need to ask you.
You can. I'm going to predict the Western Bulldogs.
Okay.
I'm going to back the Doggies as well. Max convinced me.
I'm going to go Bulldogs.
Yep, that makes 4 of us.
Very well said, everyone here. We're going to have a pleasant evening here on the Esky.
And the line on that's 3.5.
Oh,
So you wouldn't-
God,
yeah,
jump
you
all
wouldn't
over
touch
that, please. Jump all over it.
You
Only
reckon?
3.5 points. Yes, please.
What does that boost you?
An extra 13 cents.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's not too bad. Yeah.
Melbourne
Moving
Fremantle?
forward, yes. Probably a less enticing game.
Yeah, as our other one. So Melbourne, sort of one of those teams that's around that. We talked about sort of the 12 teams fitting into 8. It's not going to work. And Melbourne are on the up, like we said, they've got Gawn. They've made a couple of recruits over the last 2 years that have worked, haven't worked. So it needs to come together this year. And Simon Goodwin is probably on the hottest seat out of any of the coaches at the moment. And they've sort of, once Port Rouge left, they said, here's Goodwin, have the keys and watch them go. And they showed some good promise. They climbed. They made the prelim a couple of years ago. And then, bottomed out to third last a couple of years ago. So they're right in between there. And I think they have to play finals if Simon Goodwin is to keep his job. I think it's that, fickle a business. It's that hard.
It's what have you done lately for me?
Oh, 100%. And to be honest, he hasn't done anything. So you either need and look, you look at Buckley and Hardwick, they were given that extra chance, and Hardwick obviously proved to be a good choice, and Buckley's made
he's a favourite
couple
son,
of grannies.
so
Yeah, exactly. And he's a
leeway.
legend, but I'm not comparing Simon Goodwin to Dimmer Hardwick, but it seems lately teams have been given an extra year to see what you can do, but at least they had some runs on the board, whereas Goodwin hasn't really.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens there. Freo, again, they're probably a year away from really challenging. They've obviously got the best player, one of the best players in the club, in Nat Fyfe, and he signed that big deal. He's committed to be the captain of that club for life, pretty much. So they just need to build around him. And they've got a good pool of talent, but they're all sort of 21 and younger. So that
Very young list.
very young list, and across the board, Taberner came on last year as a big key forward, and the
They
days.
could surprise a few guys this year.
I think absolutely, and having that home ground, that playing in Perth every second week, I don't think we can ever understate how important that is for those interstate
crowds.
teams. And now, with crowds coming into the
Is
equation,
WA going to do crowds?
yeah, they should be close to. I think they're sweet. I think they're
They should
good.
be.
Yeah.
So
60,000 there at Optus.
yeah, so again, not a massive game on the bill, but it's round 1 footy, so supporters of those teams would be very happy.
picking?
Melbourne for mine. I won't go too risky round 1. I'll just play the Melbourne game.
I'm going to back Fremantle.
I'm going to go Melbourne.
Yeah, I think Maxi Gorn has a day out.
Yeah, well, he's going up against Lloyd Meek, who's on debut. Sean Darcy and Rory Lubb are both unavailable.
Yeah, so he's a young. Yeah,
Yeah, we're just talking about, there's the top 2 ruckmen in the league, and you get Max Gawn on your first assignment.
good luck, Lloyd.
Yeah.
Meek by name, hopefully not by nature.
Well done there.
Monks, who you picking?
Probably Melbourne $1.51.
Yeah,
I'd run out of you.
right now this is where we break away.
Just to go back to this Carlton-Richmond game, did you guys just see Tom Lynch taking advantage of the new rule? He had a kick from about 55. The man on the mark can't move at all. Tommy Lynch has gone out about 3 or 4 metres to the right.
Yep.
So
It's play on. Should be play on.
no, so it's
The refs
it's not until
The ref's got to call play on though.
umpire.
We'll get you, Sean. Don't worry.
That's all right. That's right. League and NFL is coming shortly. So he just uses that protected zone and can really launch, and he's just slotted it from 55 there.
Yeah, Sean is right. Is that it is now? You are supposed to call play on,
Yeah.
but if you're going from a flat foot and you're playing on, by the time you've built up momentum, the ball's sailed over the goal line player's hat. So
And it depends on if the umpire calls it as well, like he's paying enough attention. If he's a second late on it, then
that's it. That's all it takes.
So
Yeah,
I didn't catch who the Carlton man on the mark was just there, but he was a statue. Like,
that's why you
just
can't
gotta
even
wait,
do
you just
run
gotta
back
wait,
and
and
run
they
up
would
to
have
it.
had it drabbed
Yeah.
into them the last 4 weeks, 6 weeks. Do not move. Do not move.
There'll be one or two here that and people go, oh, I cannot believe that's a rule. But again, that's the rule.
And you
So
saw
have
it in a
to-
few of the preseason games as well. People were moving, their foot, and they were getting called.
Yeah, all the boys are sitting there and the guy's running away and he's throwing his arms up like, can I move now? Like, come on.
Yeah.
The next game, Adelaide and Geelong. New Cats recruits, Jeremy Cameron, Isaac Smith, Sean Higgins.
I know those guys.
Yeah, well, it's over 600 games of experience.
Yeah, I'm going to back the Cats.
Let's
move on.
I think we can go pretty quickly through here.
Well, a bit of a stitch up from the AFL. We've got the Spoon favourites, or they're close with North Melbourne.
neck and neck.
And the Premiership favourites at Geelong. So
Yep.
good luck, Adelaide. At least you got the home game. But moving on to
Have we got a line there?
Should be big. I'd say.
I'll take Geelong at whatever that line is.
Whilst you find
what's the
I
price?
will just mention
26.5.
Yep.
that is the line.
Not even 5 goals. I'll
That
take that,
is the
please.
bet of the day. Geelong minus 26.5. That could be the halftime line. Tyson Stengel has actually been stood down by the Crows. He was coming along last year, little small forward, a few off-field incidents.
Very talented. He was caught up in that, with one of the Crouch boys in the cab,
Some
somebody pulling over
illicit substance
with some extra goods. And now I think this was a DUI. This one again, we talk about it in the NFL how 1% of athletes make it. If you don't have the mindset or you want to make a mistake, you're gone.
Yep.
And if you're Tyson Stengel, you're not Rory Sloane.
Yeah.
That shrinks even more. That little mistake you make. He had his second chance and he blew it a couple months
so I was
later.
thinking of third. Well, we've also spoken on the Esky about how the rugby league the National Rugby League, I should say, has sort of started to look at, well, if it's recreational, we're going to give you a slap on the wrist. You're going to get a...
Well, it was, is it WADA?
WADA, yep.
Or WASADA? One of the two.
World
they've
Administration.
for doping has actually changed their stance on recreation.
Really?
So that's
they've gone back the other way. See,
that's where Brent Naden got his 1 month for cocaine.
He got 1 month,
not
and
the 2 years it had been.
And I
previously.
was saying, not to condone drug use, but these guys are young. It's obviously...
They're rich. They're they're alpha male.
Go out to society and be a part of some of the clubs and you'll see for yourself.
Yeah, but when it's second and third and fourth time, the club's got to take a stance.
After
Can see where
hey,
the Crows were coming from, and hopefully Tyson can find
Doesn't
a
the
gig
AFL
somewhere
have a
else.
3-strike system as well? So like,
3-strike system. But so this one being a DUI as well. It's
Well, that's
Add
he
top
actually
of
didn't fail any drug
True,
test. He
true.
got caught with drugs in his hand, and then he's blown over. So there's no test he's failed except the breathalyzer test.
okay.
So
Anyways, wishing him all the best. He's still very young. Hopefully, he can turn.
very talented footy player.
sure.
So all the
Get
best
around.
to Tyson. Get your mind right.
And that is 4 Geelong tips here, obviously.
Oh yeah, by a lot,
Okay.
by all the points, the points.
Essendon and Hawthorn.
The curse.
Yeah, Essendon and Hawthorn were sort of two. I mean, Hawthorn. We talked about them being the 3P, the modern day dynasty. They've just what goes up has to come down,
Yeah, at some
and
stage.
we talk about the draft being in place to create that. There's a reason. There's a draft. There's a reason teams can't stay good forever because you're going to miss out on draft picks, and their sort of theory was they didn't have a first round pick for years and years, and they would trade out for veterans and older bodies.
Well, plus you win a comp. Other teams want what you have, so they're trying to poach
Exactly.
your players.
So your
They're still
fringe
good-
players get poached. So then your depth gets taken. That's why 3 in a row and Clarkson will go down as one of the greatest coaches of all time. And people are still waiting to see what he can conjure up here. But you can only do so much with a list that doesn't promise a lot. So I can't see them really touching the 8. Essendon's it's a weird
Similar
one.
spot.
They're a similar team that's sort of not gone to the draft.
They finished 9th last year.
Last year. I think it was lower than that.
Yeah,
13th.
Yeah.
I think we've said that like 4 or 5 times.
Melbourne come 9th last year.
After going out and spending big on Dylan Shield and Adam Sard was one of them who's just had a kick on the wing. Thanks, Adam, for
He's looking pretty silky.
helping.
Blue baggers like having him.
Devin Smith. So they did the same thing as Hawthorn, where they didn't want a draft. They traded future picks to get in the veterans that they knew were good, and then the difference was Hawthorn won flags and Essendon haven't won a final for something like 6,000 days. So the hangover from the drug saga seems to still be lingering with Essendon a little bit. Not in the heavy tone that it was post. I mean, that rule every day you'd open the paper or go on any social media. That's all that you talk about. Anyone at work would talk about that. I still think that lingers with that club. The Bomber Thompson stuff, the James Hird stuff, it's still in that club, and they can't shake it. Whatever they try and do, they've moved out to the airport. They moved away from Windy Hill.
Yeah, I'd say they can't shake it till they win. Like they're going to start winning for people to, then it'll fall away. Otherwise, it always
it's still there, and you go
You're not
back
winning. Well, is it still a holdover from the whole drugs? So until they start winning, it's probably not going to go away.
Yeah,
which is catch-22 in that regards.
I think you're right, but again, two teams I wouldn't expect to be playing finals this year. So
you wouldn't.
So who are we picking?
I'll take Hawthorn by 4 points.
I want to go Bombers.
I'm going to go Bombers.
I'm going Bombers.
Ooh, I'm way out here. I'm going to blow away. I'm going to take away after Saturday.
I'm assuming Monks has got some insider knowledge on what the bets are. So it's just like, they're favouring.
No, Hawthorn's favourite by...
They'd be tight.
It's $1.84 to $2. Lions, 2.5.
Not a lot there.
Not a lot.
Thanks to our unofficial sponsors, Sportsbet. I'm still waiting for that phone
If
call.
you want to jump on, would be official. That'd be great.
Hammy Goodman, if you're listening. Brisbane and Sydney. Swans are actually... they're doing something that hasn't been done in the AFL since 1990. They're blooding 3 debutants in one game.
Well, when they pick 4 and 5,
3 draft,
that
I think.
makes sense.
Yeah,
3 draft picks in one game.
Yeah,
Logan,
4 and 5 high pick draft.
Yeah,
guys,
that's
so
right.
They're talented.
Pick 4 was Logan McDonald, 196 centimetre key forward, out of the Perth Demons in the Waffle. He kicked 21 goals last year. Pretty good.
Playing senior footy as a 17-year-old, that's not a bad effort. Big raps on him, raps.
Yeah.
He could have been.
And like we're talking about Jamara as well, difficult at that age.
Oh, yeah.
As a key forward, probably 10 kilos undersized.
You're an 18-year-old rig. I mean, no one here's the Adonis that we think we were when we were 17. But, you've got down there that he may get Harris Andrews, who's an all-Australian fullback. And that's your first game who you're going to get. So, could be a rough ask, but it's... throw him in there. You picked him 4th. You got to see what you've got. I mean,
it usually takes a season or 2 seasons to build a professional body as well.
Oh, absolutely. You've got to go.
You got to get his meaties in his legs. He's got to have a couple off seasons, understand what the professional game's all about, and then you adapt. Your body becomes that. Otherwise, you got to it's. I just call it baby fat, but you got that.
You've still got yours.
Yeah. It hasn't gone away. I've got a bit of Morty, so.
But as far as skills, marking the ball, kicking the ball, he played senior footy, he played against these big bodies and he dominated. So I think very excited at Sydney. Braden Campbell was the other one. You've got their Pep. So he was one of their academy products. So that's why they got him at pick 5 straight after pick 4.
Along with pick 32, Errol Goulden. And they've actually played together since under 11s.
Pretty cool.
So they're going to make their debut together.
Yeah.
That'd be very special. And I'm sure their families are very fired up. See them run out as Bloods. Making their senior footy debuts together, that's pretty special. A little note here, I think I stole this from Foxtel. Second Errol ever to play in the all AFL VFL history.
Shout out to the Errols. You're just trying to make it hard for Monks over there. Who was the last Errol to play for you, mate?
Imagine it'd be a while.
A very long time.
It's pretty
go.
pretty cool thought. Hey, they've obviously been in the academy together for years and years. Swan saw them at an early age, and Campbell, by all means, he was pick 5 because of the academy, but he would have been top 5 pick if Swans didn't have their claws into him. And Goulden, shout out to Errol, all the Errols out there listening. So I mean, Swans are one of those teams that were good, that just seem to never be bad and always just recycle players through. But them and Hawthorn, they played grand finals against each other not too long ago. What goes up must come down. So they're all on the reset button, refresh, and hopefully these players, all 200 game players, Swans fans will be very happy. They've got a fairly good list.
They should improve in the next few years.
They should improve, and I wouldn't be surprised if this game was a lot closer than people have.
Really?
To be honest,
Have you had any inside scoops? A few family members up there in Brisbane, Sean? Or
nothing too much. I think Jared was just saying he's going to charge Hugh a bit more for rents, considering he's just got his new deal. But outside of that,
so Hugh's living with Jared, isn't he? I've seen Jared's put in the pool, and it's looking all pretty.
Right.
TJ lives with him, and I think they've got another rookie living with them as well, considering they're now veterans.
Yeah, that's right. Well, they'd both have 50 games under their belt, wouldn't they?
Yeah, easy.
Oh, they've been to 100 nearly.
Yeah, this will be season 5, I think, for both of them.
Please. Oh, they'd have 100.
Yeah. I think
pool money's coming from.
Yeah, I think true. But I think we talked lot about Sydney, not overly much by Brisbane, but I think Brisbane heavy favourites again this year.
We talk about that window.
So they've still got that window.
Well and truly in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, unlucky. It was one of the. I mean, again, the bubble was awful last year for so many reasons, but Brisbane seemed to be the one team that capitalised. You know, they got to play games in front of a packed Gabba, and then they were so close to knocking off Richmond. So yeah, they're young, they're quick, they've got big bodies at either end of the ground, and they've got veteran presence in there. And I don't know. I think they're absolutely top four. They should be top four, 100%.
They should be. But
Fagan's got them clicking, and they've got good depth. So
I suppose at the end of the year, it doesn't matter where you finish. If you're one of these Port Powers or Brisbane Lions or possibly the Dogs this year, you got to go through the gatekeepers. And
exactly.
That's the Cats and the Tigers at the moment. So
100%. And
get in the finals, you're all reset. You're all at 0-0 again. You just got to win, and you got to go through those big clubs.
And as a Blues fan who's probably not going to see his team go deep, although I reckon they're a good shout to make the 8 this year. Would love to see one of these younger teams that haven't tasted that premiership feeling. Yeah, knock off a Richmond or a Geelong.
It's so interesting how it goes because, again, we'll go back to talking about the three-peats, and we talked about Hawthorn, but Brisbane back in the day when the Jonathan Brown, Acker and Simon Black, I hated that team. I hated that team with a passion because, Michael Voss, they would just win every week and you'd hate them.
That's one of the best midfields.
Oh, that's one of the best footy teams like that. Simon. But then I look back on it and I go, God, I loved all those players. Yeah. And now I want Brisbane to win. I want them to get back to winning. But, I'm sick of Richmond winning now, but they were shit for 30 years. So it's just, we hate winning until we look back at it and go, oh, it was pretty cool to watch that, to be honest.
Unless it was if it was a doggies, you'd be like,
I
win as much as
30 in a row.
I won't get sick of I had 25 years of them being dog shit, so I will take the next 25 of them being good. Thank you.
Dog shit by name, dog shit by nature.
There it is.
So
on the Esky.
Jared's played 74 games. Hughes played
couple
82.
Between that 50 and 100.
Did they come in together? Or?
Yes.
Yeah. And Errol Hutchinson.
He's good.
Best in the business over there at the left end of the table.
Played 127 games for Collingwood. Scored 62 goals back in the 60s.
I remember him well.
Yeah.
So picks in this one.
Yeah, Brisbane, but again, this will be close. This will be under 10 points, I reckon. I reckon this will be a very good game of footy.
I'm back on the Lions, of course.
I'll go Lions. Not as enthusiastic about you there, but I do think Sydney will be a touch improved this year.
Mr. Monkey?
Lions.
Very good.
North Melbourne, Port Adelaide.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, this is a bit like the...
what is that? Adelaide
Geelong game. We've got a very, very bad team, a team that's very much in the rebuild versus a team that wants to win the flag this year and is primed to. They've got a couple injuries, Port Adelaide, but they've primed it for this. Ken Hinkley's just got himself a nice big deal, so there's no... He's always had a cloud on him the last couple of years, but they are committed to him. The players seem to be committed to him, and I saw Travis Boak, good bloke.
Travis Bloke. That could be a new nickname on the Esky. Travis Bloke.
Yeah, Travis Bloke. He came out he's had a bit of a renaissance the last couple of years. People thought he was done, but he's all Australian last year. He said he wants to play until he's 40, and he gets inspired from Tom Brady and people say,
don't we all?
Absolutely you can. And we got Sean Burgoyne who back in the Hawthorn game, I think he's 38, 39 years old playing his game. So Travis Boak takes inspiration, says, I'm so excited by the group. That's what he might not play to his 40, but he's feeling that right now because of how excited he is about the group there. And they've got a great mix of young and old at the moment, and again, they've got big Charlie Dixon up forward who can just sit her on his head. He'll just swallow the ball, and a good young midfield, running outside as well as people who want to get ugly and get the footy.
So what you're saying is Port Adelaide's going to win?
I'll buy all the points. I'll be very shocked if North Melbourne score. So good on them. Good luck. Jaden Stevenson, another one of the Collingwood dump from the salary cap. Very good. He was rising star. Very good player. He played in the grand final.
Also thrown under that Treloar bus.
A little bit, North Melbourne said, well, we're not paying anyone. Come have pay him. And he seems pretty enthused by the whole North being one of their leaders. So good luck to Jaden. Hopefully he's
What's the line in this, Mr. Monkey?
It was big.
whilst you're looking at that, Aliir at Port Adelaide was looking very good intercept marking against, it was the Adelaide Crows, I suppose, in the warm-up.
Yeah. Another addition. Again, well, not one that you'd say, oh, he's a centre-half back of the future and we love him, but sort of a taller size, great leap on him, good set of hands, as you say. So he probably slots into that 22 and again, you can't really pick a position on the ground where they're sort of weak. Ruckstock's a little down, but they've got a very good midfield to make up for that. So,
so unofficial sponsor Sportsbet has the line at 31.5 with Port at $1.17.
I'm taking Port with that line.
Yeah, I'll take Port Port score all the points.
GWS and St Kilda
in Sydney, that one there. So normally, I think full strength teams here. Saints, they had that great year last year, improved. They did win a final. We don't have to talk about that at all. They may have beaten some team, but it doesn't matter. Again, very young team surrounded, but they went and recruited. They bought guys like Hanbury, Paddy Ryder. They've got the bigger bodies in there as well as these young, quick outside players. Have got an exciting young forward line. They've brought in Jack Higgins, formerly of the Tigers.
Real character.
Yeah, real character. One of those funny blokes that just got dumped with the Richmond squeeze. Again, you can't keep everyone, and he's only 20, 21 years of age. So exciting prospect there. Jack Steele, Canberra boy, shout out. Belconnen, no, we can't give him too much love, but he's. He top 5 in the top 3 in the Brownlow last year, so one to watch out for.
Sort of out of nowhere as well.
Really running machine, tackles, uses the ball really well. I will say he's a handsome devil as well. So going on my Shy Hope crush last week, I guess I got a Jack Steele crush as well.
I'm surprised he didn't mention Bailey Smith. He's got to be up there with one of the better lookers in the
again,
AFL.
If we want to talk Western Bulldogs players' looks, again, I'm happy to sit here with a microphone and have that 6-pack of beers to myself. Don't you worry about that.
Let's get him off the platform. Let's keep going.
But all things said, they have been absolutely decimated by injury. So a lot of those players, I've said Hanbury won't be playing, Ryder out, Rowan Marshall, their other good young ruckman, he's out. And their stud forward, Max King. I don't know if you boys saw this one. Did you hear about this?
I did hear about it,
I tell you what,
through the story.
He wouldn't want to be playing down at Fairburn Golf Course with you, Pepsi, because one of the more unlucky things, he was having a hit at golf down with a couple of mates at Brighton Golf Course, I think it was, and he wore a ball, I think he was walking down the fairway, so he wore a ball just above his eye socket. So, and he got whacked and he sort of was dizzy and he felt crook and after about 5 minutes he went, nah, I feel no good. Actually called the team doctor straight away, said, this is what's happened, and I think his dad came and picked him up and rushed him to the club. The club checked him out, and they said he was a millimetre away from cracking an eye socket or losing.
Very lucky that he didn't
losing an eye or something, like an absolute. Like if you're a Saints fan, you've suffered for 60 years without a flag, and you've finally got Nick Rebolt's gone. You've got your next best star forward for the next 15 years. And he gets hit by golf. What are the chances of that?
Some dog doesn't call out 4 and then you get whacked by golf ball.
4 right. He's a big unit. So
was it the guys that he was playing with, or was it hitting up on him? That's a big no-no in golf.
It's Pep's on the other fairway.
It was you, Pep's 3 fairways over. Don't worry about that.
He was minding his own business, 2 fairways to the right of where I was.
Just his being
the old Pep stinger that goes around a right angle. Don't talk about that. I suppose the question is, with all these injuries, does that make I think GWS are favoured in this game?
I think they would be favourites now. I think
the odds there.
I'd be tipping GWS for this game. For sure.
So GWS is $1.64, $2.26.
Okay.
They've got a couple injuries themselves, and they've obviously Jeremy Cameron gone. They've lost a few players over the last few years.
They've been on the sort of a downslide the last 12 months.
We talk about that window. They reached
Cameron Green suspended.
Toby. Cameron Green is scoring all the runs in cricket.
I knew there was a crossover.
No relation.
Toby Green, yes.
I think he's playing. I think I saw that he was in. But
I think they've got the team.
I thought he punched someone in one of the pre-season games.
Toby Green punching someone and being a grub? No, I won't hear it, Sean. He is an angel and a saint and not a dog or a pig at all. I hate you, Toby.
I don't have confirmed lists.
They'll be at
tomorrow.
Sunday games. They'll be locked in tomorrow. So, I think GWS, they could still make the 8. Their top 5, 6 is they are just silky as anything. I don't know about Leon Cameron. We talk about Simon Goodwin being on the hot seat. Leon Cameron would have to be one.
You reckon?
Oh, yeah, big time. I mean,
big deal.
The big thing, he dropped Stephen Cornelio, the captain, who they gave this 7-year deal, and was a reason they had to let people like Cameron go. Trelaw was part of the squeeze not too long ago. Dylan Shield missed out. They thought Cornelio's the man, he's going to lead us, and Cameron dropping him was a bit on the nose for a few people. So again, they reached the top. They got there. They versed Richmond at the G. They're big. Here we go. The AFL's baby. All these young boys, and they got slaughtered. They got absolutely slaughtered.
Yep.
And
hard to watch that was.
Oh, I liked it. Yeah, I liked it. I can't stand that team. So,
yeah, we know why.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We won't go into that again. But yeah, again, they'll be around there. But I think, with all those losses, a lot of young bodies around, good young players, but they're sort of lacking that. That X factor, I guess, to really sort of put them over. The depth's been just smoked. So a couple injuries and they'll definitely be in a bit of trouble. But in this game, I would say just purely for this game because of Saints' injury list is growing. So I think they'll get it done. It'll be a close game though.
So you're back in the Giants. What do we got down this end?
Are you going Giants?
No, I'm going to go St Kilda.
I'm also going to go St Kilda. Yeah, was my smoky. I know they've been decimated, but really like the way that they're going. Young list. Yeah. Not too confident with that tip, but I'm going Saints.
Yeah. I'll go Giants up in Sydney.
It's our first 2-2 split, I think.
Yeah, Desmond. Shout out to the Reverend.
Desmond Tutu, the Archbishop of South Africa, I'm going to say.
Zimbabwe.
Oh, can we get the Desmond Tutu?
Skull bet?
I'll take a skull bet on
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
I think he's South African, Desmond Tutu.
I reckon it's Zimbabwe, and I'm pretty confident. No, I'm thinking Mugabe.
Very different.
He pulls out last minute.
You've just compared Robert Mugabe, dictator of Zimbabwe, to one of the most beloved archbishops getting around in the world these days, Desmond Tutu. I pay a visit to him twice a day.
I'll have to scalp that for the Reverend.
Desmond Tutu, when you don't mind.
South Africa.
Yeah, that's my bad. I'll do that scalp.
That can be paid out next time because we're running a little bit low.
True. Yeah, that is fair. Absolutely, that's fair.
They're not super cold either, so they wouldn't be fun to skull.
Yeah,
exactly right.
Okay, so
final game.
After that, Desmond Tutu split between the Giants and the Saints. Yeah, the two coasts, one slightly better this year, West Coast and Gold Coast.
Yeah, another
over
one
there at Optus Stadium.
Yeah,
game on Sunday.
West Coast again, one of those teams we put in the top 6. You can't not put them in the top 6. They got Nick Natanui back healthy last year.
Yeah,
that back line, Tom Barras, and then Brad Shepherd, and obviously the Twin Towers up forward with Jack Darling and Josh Kennedy.
Yeah,
so you fill in those pieces with some good young forwards, and the midfield's still shit hot.
Gaff.
So Gaff, Shuey, Tim Kelly coming over from Geelong a couple of years ago. That's still a good team. And again, every second week, getting a home game, teams having to go to Perth. You got a young team like Gold Coast. I think it's the longest trip you can make, Gold Coast to Perth in the AFL. So
I think Brisbane Gold Coast probably be on the same. It'll be the same.
Whatever. Yeah. Semantics, geography here on the Esky. Gold Coast though last year, big improvement.
Closer.
That's one we don't need to worry about.
I reckon we're good.
About 60 seconds in the air here.
Pretty much. Good.
All I can say is Brisbane's further north.
But it's
also further east.
Also
west. Also further west.
I think by the time
all my
years of piloting experience, I can tell you by the time you're up there, it's making no difference. Let's move on. This is some garbage chat.
Well, it's going to be a bit of a garbage game if I'm imagining.
We're West Coast, so
West Coast here. It is
for West Coast. There is 1 point worth mentioning.
Yeah, the young Matt Rao gets his first game in 12 months. So obviously he lit the competition on fire last year. He was close to leading the Brownlow after his first 3 career games.
Unbelievable.
Insane player, and you can just tell that you nearly give him the captaincy today. Yep. Like he is the leader of that club, and he's bought into the Gold Coast. He came in with his best mate Noah Anderson. They'd played all their junior footy together, pick 1 and 2. That's an awesome story from last year. So he's back and shoulder feeling fine by all accounts, and he looks even thicker. He's a bit of a unit already, but he says he's thick. He says he's strong. He better watch out in that Perth sun in March because he's a redhead boy with pale skin. So
get the 50+ on.
Every quarter, someone needs to be lathering him up.
Oh yeah, exactly right. So maybe that's what the 23rd man can do for Gold Coast.
Right.
Just make sure Rao's nice and
bit on your back
and oily.
He's not getting a massage. He's getting his sunscreen.
Yeah. So good luck to him. Hopefully he can just stay healthy. That's all. That's
like top 5 in the Brownlow favourites. Which is unbelievable.
He's rising star. price is $1.10 or something. If he plays 22 games, he wins that award. And if he plays 22 games, look out for Gold Coast Suns. They will be very good. They're young, but they're buying into Stewie Jew and they're buying into each other, and they're just playing good footy. And we talk about the Titans needing to be sustainable. We haven't seen a sustainable team on the Gold Coast in any code.
And
they're asking for someone to just go there and grab it.
It's a graveyard, isn't it?
Yeah,
for all teams. But we talked about the Titans. They're meant to be a bit better this year. The Suns, hopefully, giving some people up there something to cheer about.
Well, the Suns, it sounds like they're very much starting to come into their window.
Yeah.
Maybe not this year, but like have a great year this year.
I think they're a year away from being a year away type thing.
Yeah.
So again, when the top is so stacked, the middle's pretty good. If you're a young team, you can shock some people and maybe finish 10th or something. That's probably they're not going to say hopefully we finish 10th, but I'd imagine they
could be a team that maybe sneaks in, like just has a good run towards the end there.
That's a team that the country
maybe
gets behind.
Maybe scare someone, but
the country gets behind the Gold Coast Suns. So good luck to them. But I imagine West Coast do this pretty easy in second gear the whole game.
So I think that will wrap up the AFL preview.
Can't wait. Round one, baby.
It's just gone half time in the Richmond Carlton game with Richmond at 53 and Carlton at 42.
Switch it over to NRL now?
Yes, switch it over. We'll go into round 2 of the NRL, which you'll probably
should check how that's going.
It'll be close to half time.
It should be half time in this game, I'd say.
Which is
5 minutes left
Parramatta
and a half.
and Melbourne.
At Bankwest
Stadium. The Melbourne Storm.
I'm going to go Melbourne in front by 15. Wait, that's an odd 16. That's an odd score. Damn.
Paris. 6-0. They're on the Esky curse.
Wow.
God
There
damn
you
it.
go. 9 minutes to go here in the first half. It is torrential up there.
So that's something we got to be aware of with these picks. All the games in Sydney over the weekend, it's going to be absolutely torrential and pissing down rain.
At the under.
So
Is that the Storm or the Cowboys playing right there?
It's a weird kid. Good
It's
pick up
their
there.
Jesse Bromwich, and we'll get into that.
We'll get into his.
That's what they're wearing the jersey for.
The first game, of course, is
Just
Parramatta
talk about it now.
So
Jesse Bromwich 250.
captain as well. So co-captain as well.
Co-captain, I think.
Yes.
Yep.
It's a funny little connection here with Parramatta. He was actually scouted by Brad Arthur when he went to go watch his younger brother Kenny train with the Storm under 20s would have been 10, 11 years ago, of which Brad Arthur was a coach. And Arthur saw Big Jesse sitting there watching and said, what are you doing? I think he was playing.
That's a big fucking human being. I better go talk to him.
He was just playing country footy and Orange. Shout out to my wife's cousins. They're from Orange, the Kennedys up there. Arthur said, coming down to training, and next thing you know, he's playing his
250 games, not bad.
tonight against Brad Arthur.
Yeah, it's good eye, Brad Arthur, but geez, you'd want him on Penrith. Oh, Penrith, sorry, Parramatta.
On Parramatta. The Eels lead this game 6-0 in. Is that the cheese?
No, Jerome
Hughes.
Jerome Hughes had a whack and has got a bit of a cut above the eye and bleeding down his face.
Here we go.
Who scored the first try in this, Jimmy?
Can you have a look at that? I think there was only one change in this game, so Melbourne altered from the team that beat the Cowboys. That beat South last week, and one change for Parramatta. Back row Marata Niokori returns. Keegan Hipgrave out.
That's a nice try, crossfield kick in the wet.
So Parra looks like they're
great take. Yeah.
Oh, you've gone. Sorry, you've gone.
He's gone back. Yeah. That was the try.
That was first try.
That big maker, Civil.
Yeah, big silver.
God, he's good to watch.
Yeah.
That's a great take in the wet.
In the wet,
You could get a game for North Melbourne, I reckon.
It is very wet in Sydney.
Not a bad shout there.
There is a do not travel warning, I think, in Sydney at the moment because they're even worried about flooding up there. So we of course down here in the nation's capital only getting the tail end of it.
Yeah, we're meant to be getting a bit.
Yeah, over the weekend, but they're getting
cancelled golf. I think this weekend.
Yes. So
everyone try and put your minds back half an hour for your tips.
I'm picking Storm. I think they'll come through in this one and win it. I think the wet game suits Storm better than probably any other team in the league.
I'm going to go with the Melbourne Storm here too.
Yeah, it'd be a bit silly to tip against my team, so I'll go Storm.
Going to break the trend. You've got a 6-point head start.
I do. No, you can't get past the Storm.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting if it does slow down guys like Pappenhausen and Munster.
Well, like this, they're already pulling Pappenhausen back, getting penalties. So the Storm getting into good field position here where with 5 to go, good attacking position.
There's definitely a difference, but I agree with you. The wet conditions, the slick storm. There's a difference between slick and greasy fields to bog.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think they're more to the.
I think that's their style of play. Like even over the last decade, just the grind it out, tackle well. That just suits the wet better than I say a flashy team that needs to throw the ball around. So I think, and like we say in an unders game where it's probably this may finish say 18-12. I think Storm
if that,
I think Storm could probably grind that out.
Yeah.
Let's shoot forward to tomorrow night's games, and we'll give the final score towards the end of this podcast. In this one, the early game, the New Zealand Warriors take on the Newcastle Knights up there at Central Coast Stadium. It's probably hard to pick this one.
Are the Warriors based in Australia full time at the moment?
No, I don't believe so.
So they are.
I think they're back in.
They can come back and forth. Okay,
chase that up just to make sure, but I don't think that's the case.
But no games in New Zealand, is there? I don't think they're playing in New Zealand because the teams have to quarantine going over.
Exactly, that's what I thought. So I wouldn't have thought they'd be going back and forth for that reason because it's technically international travel.
That is true.
So I'd say they're probably based here.
I'm sure Monks will chase that up for us. Both these teams coming off wins.
I thought that was one of the reasons Tavasha Sheck was like, "Hey, I'm going to go play rugby."
I think last year really broke him. Yeah, and a few.
Well, this year, if it's going to be the same again, he's just like, I can't keep doing that. I want to just stay home and be with my family. Ooh. Hopefully Gutherson's not.
Were they based in Tamworth Raiders last year?
Butthole Tamworth.
Tammy Warriors. Hey, shout out to Alex Stewart if you're listening. Yeah.
Stew Dog 147.
Stew Dog, yeah. My son, my adopted son, he's from the great town of Tamworth. So the Warriors beat the Titans last week, 19-6. Supposedly improved Gold Coast Titans. We'll get to them in a second. And Newcastle coming off a pretty strong showing over the Canterbury Bulldogs, 32-16. Wade Egan and Bailey Sirenen were cleared for the Warriors after some head knocks last week. Unfortunately, Ewan Aiken, not so lucky. He'll be out for 8 to 10 weeks following surgery for a high ankle sprain. He's replaced by Adam Pompey. And Kurt Mann and Bradman Best, they'll be pre-game decisions for the Knights tomorrow.
I wouldn't think Mann would play after last week.
It looked nasty, but they've named him at 6.
Has to be like a bone bruise then
that's
no
right.
structural damage.
Well, all reports were that it was an MCL. If he's lined up, his MCL must be intact. And it's just some sort of
either that they said
bone contusion.
Yeah, or it's snapped completely through and there's like, can't get any worse, just play the whole season. They've done that before.
And we'll do it at the end of the year. Yeah, I've heard stories of that happening.
Be rough though. I wouldn't run around with missing one ligament in my knee.
You'd be surprised. Anyways, Bradman Best, and one of the best names getting around in sports these days. Ooh, the Fox.
Munster should score here.
Munster.
Punched out.
Don't mind us.
6 again.
Yeah. Melbourne
going very close at the moment.
Yeah, very close there. So, anyways, back to tomorrow. Warriors and Newcastle. Mann and Bradman Best will be pre-game decisions. Who have we all got?
Get over, yeah.
There you go. Melbourne in.
Sorry for listening in the car with the volume up.
Picks, please, tomorrow. We are all watching
Newcastle.
this game.
Yeah, I don't mind Newcastle.
I'll go Warriors. Keep it rolling.
I like that. I'm going Newcastle myself.
Yeah, I can't see the Warriors shocking 2 teams in 2 weeks.
Well, I think they've in their whole history they've started a season 2-0 3 times.
Yeah, I think Newcastle should be too good. Newcastle's pack, I think we'll just do it to them a bit too much.
Yep. Gold Coast and Brisbane.
Apologies. Warriors are out at the Central Coast at the moment.
Yes, that's why they're playing there. So I'm assuming they're based there for the season.
Skull Pepsi for incorrect information. I'm sure my mate Bobcat will let me know about that when I'm listening back.
I'm sure he will. At least until Trans-Tasman bubble or something happens.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, we don't discuss that disease on
this. No politics on this.
The C word.
Yeah, the C word. Indeed. Gold Coast and Brisbane. We've been sort of in the last episode talking about who is the best team in Queensland. We all said the Gold Coast Titans should be. They didn't look too good last week.
They got the better roster, but I think as we talked about last week, their chemistry probably not real great at the moment.
Yeah. Also, it's round 1.
It's also round 1. Yeah. So hopefully they'll be better. Don't They're at home in this one, aren't they? Seabus? Yeah.
Yeah, they are at Seabus. It's the primetime game. Broncos primetime game. Shock me. So the Titans have actually won 4 of the last 6 meetings against Brisbane, signalling a little bit of a change of the guard up there as to who might be the most dominant team in the Redneck state. Xavier Coates and John Asiata, they both had nasty knocks last week. We saw footage of Coates bouncing off his head after scoring that second try of his in the corner. Luckily, they've both been cleared of serious injury.
I'd say Asiata will play, and I think they may give Coates a week.
It looked horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but cleared of any serious short-term damage. So, yeah, hopefully he's back and he's one of the most exciting young wingers in the game. Matt Lodge, not so lucky. He's got a low-grade hammy tear. Was decimated by injury last year, and he's going to miss another 2 to 4 weeks this year. Thomas Flegler gets the start off the bench, and Reece Kennedy comes into the side. Who have we got here, lads? Gold Coast and Brisbane primetime game Friday night.
Sean, you going to tip against the team?
Yeah, I think I'd probably pick Gold Coast.
Oh, God. Way around to his off. Yeah, you is.
You're not a Broncos fan anymore, are you?
Oh, my God.
I was
taking the piss.
Absolute bandwagoner.
Oh, my God. They were winning at half time.
They looked great after 30 minutes last week.
Straight off. Oh, God.
They still got to find something, Brisbane. They just lack it. Whereas, I guess the Gold Coast as well lack it. And this is kind of why I talked about last week that for both these clubs, it's not do or die, but it's at that point where they need to find something that they can then build this year around because both are missing it. Whether that's just some guy that does something and they're like, hey, we can use that and work around it. It looked like Milford in the first half of the last game, like that could have been it, but then he just went into his shell and they had no ball, no go forward. So
sorry to interrupt you there, just off the taking of the bomb there. Clint Gutherson's just gone absolutely decimated there by Ryan Pappenhausen.
He's just had his ankle strapped as well before because I think he rolled a little bit, but the king will battle on.
Battle of the great halfbacks, shit haircuts.
Absolutely pissing down
fullbacks
out there. Fullbacks, yeah.
Did I say halfback?
Yes.
Apologies.
I take Gold Coast in that one with no confidence whatsoever.
I think this
killed me last week.
will be a close game.
I'll also say Gold Coast with no confidence out.
Maybe I'm going to go like an 18-16 score. I think it'll be closer than people think. But Gold Coast by a hair.
Monkey?
Neither of his teams don't
different.
Yeah, based on the lack of confidence, I'm just going to go Broncos.
I like that. I like that. We forgot to mention Philip Sammy into the centres for the Titans. Brian Kelly's fractured his hand. He'll miss a few weeks there.
There's also, just following with this, Cantoni Staggs news that the Titans, of course, want him. Yeah, so they're offering him big money.
I was having a chat. Shout out to Butters. I'm going to tell you about this podcast at work next week. A big Broncos fan, and he's spewing because Gold Coast just keep trying to poach all these Brisbane players. Yeah. They got Fafita, and word is they're after Xavier Coates and Cantoni Staggs. You see that happening?
Well, Staggs had said he wanted to stay. Like, I want to stay at Brisbane. I've idolised the club, Red Hill, Darren Lockyer, etc. But I think he's just sick of losing as well. Like it doesn't help, and he's just like, I've had enough of the club, and the whole media thing he had last year with the revenge sex tape. Like, he might just, I'm had enough of Brisbane. I want out. And like, as a comparison, Gold Coast, Brisbane's probably the premier club in the NRL outside of the Roosters. Like,
in terms of membership,
member base,
and cash,
in Queensland they're all talked about, so everyone's talking about it. Whereas Gold Coast, not so much. So you could go Gold Coast, you could live on the Gold Coast, but then you're not probably getting hounded. The media's not chasing you every day.
Not the fishbowl of living in Brisbane,
So maybe that appeals to him a bit more now, considering his situation last year.
Yeah, God, what it was based around as well.
Plus they're going to offer him big money.
I'd imagine that might appeal more to him than anything. Because, one to watch there be devastating for Brisbane if they...
He's the best player.
We have spoken about, he's probably the best player there.
4 or 5 weeks still away, I think.
And possibly a few more. So let's move into the Saturday games. Canterbury
Penrith
and Penrith at Bankwest. You could let me finish my sentence. Penrith are 6 from 8. Their last meetings against the Dogs. The last time
I'm going to say they're paying $1.08.
I think you'd get more than that in it. Jesus, it's round 2 of the NRL. They might be a nice $1.22 or something. The last time they met, Penrith smoked them 42-0. I do think the Dogs are a little improved from that last year. I don't see them.
Hard to get worse than 42 now.
I don't see them losing by that much. I don't think they win this game. Monks, you got the odds there?
Yeah, Panthers are $1.15.
Wow, halfway between us, I think. Quick maths. Dogs coming off a loss to Newcastle. Penrith looked really good against the Cowboys last week, 24-0. I think it's pretty unanimous.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Panthers by a fair bit.
4 times Penrith. Love to be wrong. Penrith are unchanged, and Jeremy Marshall-King, is he half brother of Benji? I think he's half brother.
Could be.
Look that up. He's in for Brad Dietz as the backup hooker for the Dogs. The 5:30 game at Lotto Land, even. Manly play the South Sydney Rabbitohs. I've got to introduce the matchup first.
That's all I needed to know in the matchup.
I'll spit it out there, won't I? South have won their last 4 of their last
Just
5
wait till I do the
against
next
Manly. Manly got absolutely belted by the Roosters the week before in the preseason game against the Tigers. They got belted. South's coming off a loss against Melbourne, but they didn't really show up for the first half. They actually looked pretty good in that.
They've got a talented roster.
Second half, yeah.
Unlike Manly.
Just one change from Manly. Cade Cust, he actually scored 3 for Blacktown in the New South Wales Cup. He's in as a 14 this week, and Tavita Funa has been omitted. Dylan Walker will continue to play at fullback while Tommy Turbo's
He's not a
out.
fullback.
I don't think he's a fullback either. He's really nice player in the centres or as a 6.
He's a running ball player, not a...
Yeah.
So the whole defensive positional play of playing fullback, he just doesn't know. So
Yeah. So
it's a Band-Aid.
Tommy
And
Turbo.
it's a pretty dirty...
That shower that he
Band-Aid.
slipped in's got a lot to answer for, doesn't it? That bloody shower.
Need to get some new some
non-slip.
grippy tiles
Yeah,
or
that's-
non-slip. Yeah.
Shoes in the shower for Tommy from here on out.
Get him a little shower chair.
Or bath so you can sit down.
Saw a few of those in my nursing home times. Once you're in the shower chair, it's time to pack up some I'm just speaking for myself. That's chair. Anyways, that's hopefully a long time away.
Hopefully that's in your will.
Manly for mine.
There have been 2 changes for the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Josh Mansour and Jacob Host, both new recruits this year, both gone after one.
Yeah, Mansell's a big name to get dropped, and I don't think he was overly too bad in the last game, but Wayne's
Well, he's
pulling out the axe.
struggling to get a game at Penrith as well last year.
He played, I think, the whole year. He was struggling to get a contract was the main thing.
Yeah,
He was very unwanted, and Souths threw him a bone. I think he was kind of like Ferguson last year. He struggled to score points.
Yeah,
And as a winger, you're meant to be scoring tries.
Yep.
Of course, played for Australia, so he's got talent, but maybe moving into the back end of his career.
Yep.
The league, of course, has gone away from the smaller wingers too.
Yeah,
so
they
like their leapers, they like their tall guys.
Marcus Evo types. So he'll get replaced by Jackson Paulo and probably the second best back rower at St George last year, Jacob Host. He goes out. Keon Kaloa-Matangi comes in for him. I know everyone's already expressed their views, but could I just get a roundup, please? Everyone's tips.
South.
Okay.
Before we move on, Marshall King, stepbrother.
Hey.
I said half brother.
You said half brother?
I said so. Not quite there. Not quite there. Yeah, interesting because there's about
In America, that's fair game, so keep going.
14 years.
Yeah.
I think there's probably only about 2 states, Sean. That's
All right, I was waiting for someone to tweak on that one.
Come on now. Bloody Cletus. All right.
I've got a joke.
The late game up there at Queensland Country Bank Stadium, 7:30 Saturday
Cowboys.
night. North Queensland Cowboys, St George Dragons. Cowboys have won 6 of their last 7 up there in Townsville. They have an unchanged 17, which did get towed up 24-0 last week to Penrith.
Is Morgan still playing 7 for the Cowboys? Or am I just imagining that he's disappeared somewhere?
I can have a look for that.
I'm sure he is, but
can't say I watched that game last week.
I think Tamalomo broke his hand today in training.
Really? Wow.
In training. So
after getting canned by the coach.
Yeah, we're saying why the hell's he only playing 50 minutes? He can play 80 minutes. He's one of the most dominant players in the NRL.
You're paying him. You're paying him to play every second that you can. So
Yes.
Busted hands, jeez.
Morgan is playing 6, mate. They got Jake Clifford there playing half.
He's still on the team, yeah. He needs to find his form of, what was that, 2017? I think.
Yeah, well, just about Dally M. Yeah.
Hasn't got close to it since then.
No, not quite. Corey Norman's back for the Dragons after his little 1-week suspension. We didn't think that was perhaps justified, but anyways, he is back. Adam Clune is omitted for him. Probably 2 teams that you wouldn't think would be playing finals this year, so we might just get through to the tips and see how they go.
Cowboys.
I'll go St. George, Pepe. I'll back you in.
Yeah, that's a way. Yeah,
I got you.
I'll
mate.
give him a kiss of death too. I'm going to go with my heart, not my head. St. George. They must be due. They've only won 1 game out of the last 7 up there in Townsville. They must love the weather. I'm going to back my boys.
That's probably the problem. They love the weather and the town life too much.
They forget they got a game
seriously, we talk about West Coast in the AFL. Going up there, it's like playing in a different country.
Yeah, tropical.
It saps you, especially this time of the year.
Still warm.
Oh, mate,
and very sticky.
Yep, sweat your ass out up there. I'm going to go with St. George. Not based on any statistics or confidence, but just because they're my team.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm the same.
There we go.
Yeah, look out, powerhouse.
There, 3-1 Dragons. Here they come. Here they come.
Tamalomo fractured his hand today in training. So
doesn't matter. He wasn't even playing anyway.
Yeah, lazy, wasn't he? Lazy.
Yeah, too lazy.
Payton called him lazy last week.
He doesn't run. He doesn't chase the ball down. He doesn't chase backs that are running away.
Apparently, they've cleared the air. Like, Payne's come out saying that's all good.
Really?
Locker room's all good.
I hate to know what any of my coaches think about me if Jason Taylor plays. Anyways, that is Saturday wrapped up. We've got the 2 Sunday games, West Tigers, Sydney Roosters, Campbelltown Stadium. Now, before you all put your tips in, because I can imagine which way you're going to go, the Chooks have won 14 of their last 15 against the Tigers. Darcy Lussick's in for the Roosters. We did speak about Nathan Friend, poor fella, copping another concussion last week, and he's had a sort of bad run with concussions recently. Wishing him all the best in his recovery. Darcy Lussick, anyone that plays NRL fantasy, keep an eye out on him. He'll be a good little pickup, I imagine. Joseph Suwali, the 17-year-old young gun, he's been cleared to play, but as discussed last ep, we can't see him busting into that back line just yet outside of an injury. Does he get a gig coming off the bench as a utility? Does he get a gig sliding into there as a back rower?
I don't think there's any late mail either on him.
He must be next man in, I guess, because if you want him cleared, you want him ready to go. It probably takes, look how long it took for them to clear them. So if someone does get hurt this week, they want him ready to come in. Mm-hmm. So he must be that close to playing at 17. So it's very exciting to watch when he does eventually debut and take this competition by storm.
And just the whole, media attention and the whole build up, it's reminding me of Sonny Bill or Benji when, that these guys that were teenage prodigies and all the hype that was around them when they were coming into the league. I can't wait to see what he's got.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of pressure for a young bloke as well. You can't just sort of fly under the radar when, there's
all this hype up when you're a teenager.
Yeah, that's right. Four idiots sitting in here talking about you. It's a lot of hype, a lot of pressure. Can't wait to see when he does come into that Chook 17. Probably the hardest 17 to bust into.
Yeah, exactly. But not NRL. But you're probably going to be able to show off your best because you got the best players around you to show off. You're going to have some one-on-ones.
And you've been mentored by the best.
Big time. Rather than going into a Canterbury where you've got to be the best player when you're 17 or something. Sorry to throw Bulldogs fans under the bus.
If the Dragons have got the cash.
I do want to hurt you, Peps, but
it's all good. It's all good.
Moses on the bench is interesting.
Yeah, so I'll just finish the Chooks. I'll just finish the Chooks because there are a few other changes there. So Adam Kieran, their backup half, I think he dislocated his wrist last week. Drew Hutchinson is into the 14 for the Chooks, and Angus Crichton's got to serve a one-match ban for a crusher tackle. So Nat Butcher comes onto the run-on side. He was off the bench last week, and Fletcher Baker is going to make his debut.
2 last names. That's shocking.
Yeah. I was just going to say, but none of us was really. I was looking at you two whiteys, but yeah, just got standing.
If you got 2 first names, you got to have game. But I guess two last names is okay.
What if you got a first name that's not a real first name?
It's missing some letters.
Missing a letter. Yeah. Anyways, we've known each other 18 years. You might get it after 19.
What about the Tigers, Peps?
Yeah, so for the Tigers, Jimmy the Jet, he's going to be a match day decision. Adam Dewey's back from a suspension, which came over from last year, straight into the number 6. Moses Mbai to the bench. Russell Packer goes out. Russell Packer, a little feel-good story about him. He obviously spent some time in jail a few years ago, former Dragon and Warrior. I think he's just completed a degree at university. So he has really turned his life around. That's what we always talk about.
Yeah, exactly. Let's highlight this. Like, people should be talking about this. He's one of those examples.
Awesome. Why
get a second chance, you got to use
it. That's right. And we talk about the grubs like Buzz Rothfield getting around there, that if there's a hint of controversy, it'll be on the front page of the Daily Telegraph. When it's a feel-good, turn your life around kind of story, no one talks about it. That's
Doesn't sell papers.
Why I'd like to highlight it tonight. Good on you,
Yeah,
Russell.
well done, right? That's exactly what we want. So hopefully some younger players can look at that. And anyone who has come into some trouble, look, you can come back. You're young, you're at the top of your game, bounce back. So congratulations.
And guess what? Everyone makes bad decisions. Everyone's guilty of it. You're not defined by your worst decision in life. You're defined by your most recent decisions. So
God, I think I'm going to cry. Motivational speaker and podcaster.
And it wasn't just any old degree. It was a MBA, Masters in Business Administration, which is pretty handy.
Yep. Good on you, Russ. Good to see you turn the corner there, brother, and hopefully slot back into that side soon. That's about it for the lovey-dovey talk about the West Tigers. I think they get rickrolled in this game. I imagine everyone else thinks.
Pumped. Oh, yeah.
Don't need to go through 4 times Roosters.
Yes.
Ding, ding.
All the points.
Okay. Cronulla and Canberra, you're a Raiders fan now, aren't you?
You'll be able to see this one, Sean. God.
Well, I don't think there was too much news. I just checked that Jesse Ramian, he got 3 weeks.
Yep.
So he
had that swinging arm
with
Duffy.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he's out in this contest. I think Canberra, as named as last week, I don't think they've had any issues injury-wise.
No, I believe you're right there.
There was chat, actually, sort of off topic. Dugan and Corey Norman both looking at significant pay cuts next year because both want to stay at the same clubs and both don't want to pay him what they're on because I think Dugan's on 900 and I think I think Norman's on 800.
He did sign that long-term deal, so he'd be towards the back end.
Yeah, so they're both
Dugan.
on.
People knock Josh Dugan. He's still pretty good.
Yeah.
He's not the guy. He's not the player that he used to be, but he's still a hair. Like
I think he's 31 now.
He's about the same age as us.
Yes, actually that makes sense. Yes, he did. He's also everyone knocks him for his injuries and he's hurt, but I think he's only missed 6 games in the last 3 years. So yes, he gets hurt a bit and he takes knocks during games, but he plays on throughout it. Probably not to the benefit of his health, but he does.
No. It's funny when guys that haven't played contact sport for 15 years or
get up your pussy
or ever like to comment on someone's toughness or durability.
If I played a game of rugby league, and I'm not talking in the rugby league, if I went down and played for the Bush Rangers, shout out to the Bush Rangers, I'd die. I'd actually die. I'd die. I don't see any way I walk off that field. Just watching it happen and just run, bang, like that's it. I'd break something.
I think it's a tougher sport in the world.
Oh, and back up, back, for sure.
It probably doesn't. You probably, if you watch the biggest hits in the NRL compared to the NFL, I was going to argue the point that because of the helmets and padding, some of the impact collisions in the NFL, people do tend to launch themselves. But you look at some of the biggest hits ever in rugby. I do think it's a tougher sport in the world.
Yeah, it's one of the very few sports where it's the combination of fast pace and physical contact.
Yeah,
Yeah, because yes, the NFL has a lot of car crashes in it. I'd probably say the NHL, the ice hockey, is probably the worst one, just because you play on ice as well.
Yeah, in terms of high impact G-force.
And injuries and that sort of
Collision.
thing. Like, for collisions, pure collisions, is probably the worst. But
the fact that you're allowed to fight.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, that is true.
But day in, day out, wear and tear on your body. That NRL, I think, probably tops it for that list.
You might have to run 6K in a game and make 40 tackles.
Exactly.
And
tackle someone that's 100 kilos 40 times.
Yep.
Yeah. Not fun. So back to Cronulla, Canberra. I think this is in the Shire, considering Canberra was at home.
Yep.
Tips? I'm back in Canberra in this.
Yeah, I think this will be
milk.
Reasonably close.
Yeah.
But I'm going to
After
go.
milk.
I'm going to go the milk here.
Okay.
Yeah, close Canberra.
Yeah. Cronulla, a bit of a bogey team for Canberra for a little while.
Yeah, they have been, haven't they?
But the Tigers were for a little bit as well when Benji was there. But since then, they've smoked both teams quite a bit.
I think your memory deserves you here, Sean. Last meeting, Raiders. Before that, Raiders. Before that, Raiders. Before that, Raiders. So they've actually won their last.
They are a bogey team, but it's just the other way around.
That's the last 2 years. So,
then,
when they won the comp and when the Sharks.
Before then, it seems to be a little bit more sharky, but
when Mick Ennis was there, is kind of what I'm talking about. Anyway,
4 milks.
Yeah, 4 milks. We're all back in the milk in this one.
Shout out Michael Ross, milk.
Milks. Yeah. Still waiting for that milk policy. Fuck the Zuck. Moving on.
That was that's the last game, isn't it? That's the Sunday Arvo Cronulla game. So into it now. Round 2. How good. Excited to have footy back. Now we've got both codes back. It's it's early Christmas, if you want to call it. I think it's awesome. So
do you want to just switch back to the Storm game? We'll get the end of that and then we'll come back to this.
Yep.
I just got something here. Jack, we talked about that sub rule being controversial. Jack Silvani made a chase down tackle, really good tackle, popped his shoulder out and was subbed out at half time. So Jack Silvani, there's a bit of trivia. First player subbed out with the new rule was Jack Silvani, obviously son of Sauce.
Yeah. But if you dislocate in your shoulder, that's probably fair.
Yeah.
And that's what it's for. So now they're not down to play for the game.
Pretty hard to fake that one.
Yeah, you're going to be out for 12 days, I think, Mr. Silvani. So poor Silvani, he's put together a good last 12 months and apparently trained the house down.
He looked really good in pre-season, sort of on the fringe at Carlton the last few years. Be pretty hard, big shoes to fill for him. And as a Blues fan, just really rooting for him. And horrible to see the shoulder pop out. Hopefully, there's no further damage other than that.
Hopefully, it's just a clean pop out or pop back in, and just a bit
Obviously,
of
he'll go for scans and all
problem
the
is
rest.
the shot. Like once you do it, I don't know if it is the first time he's done it, but it's just becomes so susceptible to multiple dislocations. So
but then they go and they tape the absolute shit out of it too to hold it in. So hopefully hold it in spot. But
remember Juddy's shoulders at the end of his career. I think they were putting nails in him before reach.
He did have the all-time sled, Juddy, when he first went to Carlton, and then he played his first game in Perth, and they were all getting stuck into him because he always had his shoulders taped. And one of the West Coast boys was getting stuck into him and said, "Oh, Juddy, you got enough shoulder tape on you?" He said, "Oh, I've needed them for the last 5 years. I've been carrying you boys." It's an all-time bit of
that is an all-time return serve. That one,
good,
shout out to Juddy.
But there we go. Managed to get AFL into the rugby league segment. How good?
We like both, so it's important to go back and forth.
Is that Madison?
Wow, he's out.
That's Madison.
Oh, that doesn't look good.
God.
Bit of a concussion by the looks of things here.
What's Madison's first name?
So
Ryan.
Into the NRL here, and
We can't quite tell. Poor bloke. He's under the weather there.
Oh, he's let go on the ball straight away, and I don't want to say he's stiff as a ball, but when a guy gets knocked out and they go stiff, does he cop
head on the back of the
head
on the
back of the head, back of the head on
I'd say
the ground, and
the downward elbow strike as well, a legal 9-5 elbow crossover. He might be a bit of trouble there for that one.
Do you reckon?
No, that's the ground.
Felix
That's
Kafusi
definitely
there.
the ground, not him.
That was one angle. They'll show another one, and it'll show a bit more elbow, I think, unfortunately. So they're not happy about it.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, God. Well, hopefully he gets
He,
all right.
he was cooked after that too.
Seems to be responding at least. It's the neck and that's all right, but just a bit of a nasty one. He'll go to the
That's probably the
HIA,
worst thing the trainer can do though. Runs out and goes, "Oh, was your neck
Well, he's
right?
twisting
Left,
his neck around.
right." It's like, bro, just leave my neck alone until the ambulance gets here.
What, the trainers have got no idea what they're doing, Sean.
I think they're right. It bounces off the top of his temple, so I think he could be in trouble here.
No.
If you slow it down, that angle doesn't show it, but the first one does.
It's a little bit accidental, but
I don't think there's intent there.
no, there's no intent.
Oh, just the way he's
elbow's
knocked.
definitely in there. So what's
See-
happened is
see if they slow it down and he hits him on the temple with his elbow.
But that's not what's caused it. It's the back, it's the
no,
back of
you
his
hit-
head.
if he hits him with an elbow on the temple,
Yeah,
that'll knock you
they
out.
have put it on report.
That'll knock him out if
Kafusi's
he's
gone on report.
Yeah, and that'll
Oh,
be
he's
Matt's
That's
day.
just walking off, so
Walking
good
off,
signs there.
that's
Good
okay.
signs.
That'll be his day done though.
All right. Moving forward.
Cricket.
That's actually a very short cricket segment.
Yes.
Tonight.
Run through us some results.
So
See what's happened.
England's still in India. They have only had one 2020, the third 2020 of the series since our last podcast.
No crowds, I think, back at this. They
Yeah.
were a bit worried, I think, after the last T20 International where they had a full crowd and they're worried about people getting in and out on trains, etc. The social distancing.
They're still getting
People-
a lot of.
They're
a lot
getting
of
ravaged.
Yeah, I think they had
Ravaged
over
by
100,
the
third
100K,
wave.
100K cases. So they're like, yeah, we can't keep having crowds.
Which is
So-
with the IPL coming up, it's a worry
Yeah, it's
because
a bit
it's
worrying.
part of the
What are we,
luster.
April 11 for the start of the IPL, if you don't mind,
3 and a
Monkey.
bit weeks.
It's
Yeah.
part of the luster as well. Those loud crowds, they're going berserk.
Oh,
And obviously
absolutely.
we're in unprecedented times here, but it's part of making that competition really cool. They're also going to go over there. They're going to get paid their money. They're going to play good cricket, but it just takes a little bit away from it, unfortunately, for the Indian fans, but and all cricket fans really.
Yeah. But what happened in this game?
So England actually dominated this game. India batted first. They made 6 for 156, pretty much all off the back of King Kohli.
Yep.
77 of 46 not. That's back-to-back 70-odd not out knocks for the King. We have mentioned he must be close to 40 international innings now without 100. A little bit of a lackluster series
It's
for him.
harder in T20 to get 100 though.
Of course, but he does
Give
average
him a pass.
does average 52 in T20s,
Yeah.
and he's scored more runs in these last two T20s than I believe he did in that whole Test series.
150 odd. But that, again, we talked about last week about his white ball cricket. He's
all
the
time.
Head and
conversation.
he's head and shoulders above anyone.
Current day, 1,000%. The
Yeah.
conversation goes to all time.
All time.
Like you can't have the conversation about best white ball cricketer without Virat Kohli.
No.
As far as I'm
Yeah.
concerned,
Yeah.
he's
But what
Yeah.
Kohli can do, Josh Butler could do better.
Yeah, Joss put on an absolute
in this
show.
regard.
Well, Kohli made half their runs, so 156 might have been a little bit unders here.
Yes.
For the home side, England come out and they did it pretty easy. They win by 8 wickets, 10 balls to spare. Joss Butler, 83 not of 52, and Johnny Bairstow, 40 not of 28. England take a 2-1 series lead in the 2020s. We talked about it. These are the two premier teams when it comes to T20 internationals. They'd have to be 1 and 2 for favourites in the World Cup. India probably slight favourites.
You'll find India are favourites, but the Aussies are second favourites.
Really?
Yeah, and again, I said it last week, but a certain member got on New Zealand at 9s. So $9 looking very juicy at the moment. But
You'll be a trader going for the Kiwis.
no, I want Australia to win.
You'll have your journals on. The podcast will be on the chili bun.
On the Charlie button. Yeah,
chili
thanks.
That's probably just because of the recent T20 games being played. You know, Australia's just had the big bash. So you've seen Australia guys playing T20 versus the others.
Well, we
haven't.
just have such a crap record when it comes to
Yeah.
the T20
And
World
that
Cup.
too.
Tournament
It's a
T20, like
Yeah.
tournament T20. Like you look at
Exactly.
West Indies tournament T20
They've won
form,
2.
it's ballistic.
They've won
Like they're
2.
so good when it comes to must-win games. Whereas I don't know, we just don't. And again, we didn't play our best 11 against New Zealand, so
No.
you can't base it on that. We
No.
we took them to 5 games. Like it had to be one in that 5th game, but. I just, again, like I said last week, love the balance of the Kiwi side. They field well,
Yep.
which is crucial in T20.
Great
so
bowling attack.
elite bowling. So
That's your smoking.
yeah, we'll see. That's towards the end of the year. So a lot of not Big Bash, IPL cricket to happen. So that'll
a lot of time between
the best
there.
players get to show off in that format, which will be
Sheffield.
Speaking of the IPL, did you get a start date there?
Yeah. So the start date's going to be the 9th of April,
9th of
I
April.
believe.
Ooh,
And
so 3 weeks, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be no spectators at the moment. Played in
no
Chennai.
surprise there. Yeah.
Yeah, Chennai with across 6 venues.
All in Chennai.
Wow.
Looks like, well, it's
Really?
beginning in Chennai across 6 venues, so whether they spread out
Yeah,
from
right.
Chennai from there.
Yeah,
and
do
then-
I guess a bit of a bubble.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah. So let me. So Chennai's the first match, and then they moved to Mumbai.
Oh, okay.
So playing Chennai and Mumbai.
Just
by the
Chennai
looks
and
of it.
Mumbai. Yeah, that makes sense.
Makes a bit more
two,
sense.
Two of the bigger
Yeah.
grounds, bigger
bubble,
cities.
yeah.
Yeah.
Couple bubbles in Chennai and Mumbai. That's it. See, you got to look at the bright spot. That'll be everyone's there together in the same spot. So
When are they getting that Durham Charlotte bubble going? Oh, that's the most beautiful cricket ground in the world. I wouldn't mind seeing that.
They do move to Ahmedabad, then Delhi.
So they're doing sort of like the Big Bash
So-
was.
so like a circuit.
Mardi Gras lineup, yeah.
circuit, play a few games.
I don't know how. Yeah, there's no real other way to do it. You can't have people traveling when the
Yeah.
pandemic's still going on.
Yep.
Have you boys been looking into your teams? I've had a
we-
little look. I'm still on the fence on a couple. I want to be won over by some IPL teams. So
Yeah.
it's a shout out to anyone in the comments to.
We did mention last week on the Esky that we all need to adopt a IPL team this year and get very passionate about it. We're going to go buy some hats and
Big time. Yeah, we'll get on board. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's brilliant. Yeah, you know, we've been lucky. We've had a few Indian cricket fans jump on board the Esky train. So we'll reciprocate and we're going to follow that pretty closely, the IPL.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
we'll see how we go. But yeah, I had a quick look, but it's hard. There's some good teams. There's some good players spread across. It's the number one competition of cricket in the world. So
Maybe we should get some social media polls happening.
oh, I'm not
Get a
just a
little bit
stats man, my friend.
Interaction.
I like that.
I really like that.
Well,
Look out on our socials.
Yeah.
We'll you tell us which bandwagon do we need to jump on? Who do we need to, and why? Why do we need to follow these teams? And I don't want to see it because the Aussies are playing for certain teams. I want a niche team. I want to find myself an underdog. I think.
Get at us in the comments, please, for IPL teams we can follow. There is 4 of us and 8 teams to pick from. So my
Good chance your team gets picked. So.
I'd say so. Yes, so domestic cricket. There's only one game in the Shield, and it was a rip snorter. We've talked about all the inclement weather here at the moment. Victoria was playing Queensland, I believe, at the Gabba. Monkey, can you just chase that up? Victoria 7 for 219 off the back of a Marcus Harris unbeaten 113, and that was it.
Alan Border.
Alan Border.
Sorry, Monk. Sorry, jumping. I just had it here.
No, right.
So in Brisbane, and it must have rained for 3 days straight.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Marcus Harris 113, not and
That was about
a couple
it. Wicket
scores in
wicket
the
shared,
third.
I think.
Yeah, so nothing really. I mean, Marcus Harris, he's tasted international cricket and
Yeah.
he's had a couple goes at it. I think he played did he play the start of the series or
Yeah.
did Warner start, get hurt, and Harris came in?
Oh, good shout that.
I think Warner play.
I
Yeah,
think you're right. I think Harris came in when Warner got hurt.
yeah, it was
You
one of
have a
those.
look at the
Yeah, it was. I think it was the
test
last one. I
teams.
think it was at the end.
It was
He
one or
played
two. I think he played
Yeah,
the
from memory, he played 2. Good to see him scoring runs. He'll definitely be there or thereabouts when the
yeah.
Ashes
I
roll
think
around.
the openers. Before you need to make sure Pekowski's healthy and Warner will get into his form very shortly. But I think Pekowski and Warner are our openers. But we get injuries. Warner's been hurt. Pekowski's been hurt. So you need some good openers. We saw Renshaw in the runs last week. Harris scoring runs.
Bancroft's in the runs too.
Bancroft in the runs. Henry Hunt, young fella hitting tons. This is what we were talking about a month ago, where we want to see people put their hand up. All you have is Shield cricket, so score some Shield cricket runs. So he didn't score some runs; he scored pretty much all their runs. So that's what you got to do. He's a class batsman. He's better than Shield cricket.
Yeah.
But he's not quite a dominant, an international cricketer
elite
right
test
now.
cricketer.
He's in that
No, I wouldn't even
category.
call him a Test cricket just yet. He's that. Yeah, he's a Brad Hodge. He's a Brad Hodge. Like he's too good for Aussie cricket, but I don't think he's quite cracking our team. Hodge
That's
was
a
different.
pretty good pat on the back.
Sorry,
for him.
if Hodge, prime Brad Hodge now bats in our team, but you know what I mean. You know what
Yes,
I mean.
yeah.
I don't think he's quite our 11.
I think Brad Hodge test average 56.
Yeah. Again, that was a shocking comparison. He's
But he's
Matthew Elliott.
Yeah. I'll take that.
He was good. I love.
He's
Matthew
probably
Elliott.
like the
Jimmy
top-
Marr. There you
top-
go. He's Jimmy Marr.
Yeah. He's a top 20, 25, but he's not breaking into 11.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks for
Well,
I'm
surmised.
trying to save you.
well surmised. Good luck.
Mush Cup?
Yes, 55.88 Brad Hodge. 56.
He's not the beard.
Got a few numbers on the top of my head. There was one game, and it was today, Tasmania and New South Wales. Tasmania made 9 for 258 off their allotted overs. Caleb Jewell, 70 of 51, got him off to a flyer, but they weren't really able to capitalise that. And not a bad score there, but nothing to write home about, I guess. Ben Dwarshuis, 4 for 50, and that man, David Warner.
There he was.
He turned up. And then New South Wales just got home today. They have a Shield game starting Saturday down there in the Apple Isle.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, so McDermott and Jewell both hit 50s. They were none for 138.
Yeah. So off to an absolute flyer.
Yeah, flyer, then nothing.
And
really
all the T20
that.
guys are all back from New Zealand.
Yeah. So, and even, Paddy Cummins played in this game. He bowled his 10 overs.
Meredith
did play, bowled quick. He got 1 wicket. Cummins, no wickets, but only went at 3 and over.
Yep.
As you said, Dwarshuis ripped through. Lyon, 2 for 44 from his 10. But Liam Hatcher was the unlucky man. He went at 7.5 and over. So, Warner, I sort of had it on in the background today. He just was sort of cruising. Didn't really have to really step it up. Just a run a ball 100. Yep. Enriquez chipped in as well with the run chase. Just
3
just a smart, mature run chase.
Wish I could just cruise to a runnable 100.
Yeah, we could just hit the ball where I wanted it to go.
Yeah, that's right. Not really push it. Not get out of fourth gear.
Just a glide to third man. No, hack over cow. That's why.
Just a glide to second slip. Thank you very much for coming. And that's about it for a very short cricket segment. Obviously, only a few days in between drinks. So India and England will resume 4th and 5th T20s.
Tonight about midnight, Thursday.
And then
recording,
3 ODIs.
Yep.
Bangladesh about to start over in New Zealand, and test matches between West Indies and Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
And obviously, domestic front, Marsh Cup, Sheffield Shield, we're committed on Esky to following it in depth.
Weeks,
we have said multiple times, everyone loves to pick their best 11. Want to pick the Aussie team, sometimes not up to date with the recent form. So that's one of the things that we're committed to with our cricket coverage here on the Esky is following domestic cricket. Bring it back. Get it.
Yeah, put it on the telly.
Yeah, get some people there at the domestic cricket.
Yeah. So just in the... That'll finish cricket. In the little segue between the two sports, it's just an update on the Melbourne Eels game. Still 6-all, 23:45 to go. They're actually throwing the ball a bit around at the moment. So it's still pissing down rain, but they're trying to toss this ball around to see if they can get some wins. And an update in the Richmond versus Carlton game, it's 62-60. What's the time left on that?
About a minute left in the third quarter, so it's very close. A bit like Pepsi was saying, that they seem to go with them for 3 quarters, the Blues. So can they hang on in the last quarter? Should be a good finish. We'll follow it live
Final
here on the
score,
SQ.
100 to 70.
I feel like I've seen this too many times where you go, Carl, it's our year. We're pushing the defending premiers. We're pushing the Richmond Tigers, and then that fourth quarter run comes over. Now,
You can have it, Becca.
absolute dilemma here on the Esky.
Oh, no, all yours, Sean.
There's
All
2
yours.
beers
No,
left. There's
I'm
2
good.
beers left.
Muggy's still got one.
No, I'm good.
There you go. Maggie,
No, you don't want it?
No, I'm good.
There we go.
I'll
A
savour
little bit short tonight. Possibly the content will be better.
it. Or much worse.
Much worse. Let us know.
We'll see how we go in the final round.
How we go on less beers or more beers.
International.
NFL. Yep.
NFL. So
Let's
we finished last podcast as the free agency started. The the tampering period for the NFL free agency. Free agency officially started this morning, so we're 12 hours deep into free agency. And a lot...
it went nuts.
And yes, it went nuts. Patriots went nuts. A lot of teams trying to get better and get guys. We'll run through some of, the key kind of teams that made moves. But first, quarterback news, probably the most important. Winston, of course, re-signs with the Saints in his 1 year, $12 million deal. Looks likely that he and Tyson will compete for the starting job, of course. Tyson, sorry. I want to have Tyson in my head.
We need to get a little buzzer on the SQ.
Yeah, if you're playing...
like an electrocuting.
Train shot collar. Just a
Shot
train.
collar.
That'll play a
I'd be dead
a
after an
drinking
hour.
game.
Like, come on.
We play a drinking game.
Where you
Every time Sean fucks up,
and then you shit face, and then you keep getting wrong on the account of being shit faced.
He probably starts spelling them right.
Spelling and saying them. Yeah, you've had too many. So, by all accounts, it sounds like Winston is going to probably have the first run of it, even though Tayson's had got his bullshit deal.
That's right, the fake deal, the $1 billion deal, as you said, Macca.
Exactly
may as well be worth $1 billion because none of that is guaranteed money, and we don't really understand why they do these massive, $40 million deals for gadget guy.
Gadget boy. But
gadget boy.
I think everyone, and not to hang shit on Taysom, he does a few cool things, and Sean Payton,
he's a fucking athlete.
He knows how to utilize him. He couldn't be matched with a better team. So I think it's a great partnership for both parties. The team actually benefits from him, and he gets the best out of his game. But I think Jameis Winston's the starting quarterback if they played tomorrow, 100%. And we talk about Payton being able to use Hill really well. I think you got to remember, like Winston, you laugh at him and he threw 30 picks and, oh my God, 30 touchdowns.
That's still 30 touchdowns.
He threw 30 touchdowns and 5,000 yards. He was the number one draft pick. He won a national title. Sean Payton will get the best out of Jameis Winston. If he's got anything, it will get found out. He's had a year in the system to sit and watch. And, he only watched, one of the top 10 greatest quarterbacks ever to do it. He's learning. He learned from him.
He's got his eyes fixed. So
he's got the LASIK Winston. So I think it's a $10 million deal that can be escalated to 12 with some incentives. And the team around them, like they've done, we talked about them getting under the cap. I don't know how the fuck they've done it, especially signing the backup tight end to $900 million.
I don't know his name. I read the article on him today. Their cap guru, who's well known throughout the league, has been like
Nick Politis?
No, it was because Nick's the GM. No, not Nick. That's Roosters guys.
Yeah.
I know. I got the joke.
But anyone, I thought that was worth it.
Yeah, it was good. I'm actually pretty sure the GM for the Saints has Nick in his name, so that's why he confused the shit out of me.
GM, please.
But it is in the
Pepsi's saying, for the love of God, that one went over my head. I had no idea.
He wasn't the GM. It's but they are well known to have a really good cap guru there who's absolutely worked magic in getting the Saints down cap wise.
Oh, was it close?
It was close.
Mickey. Not Nick. Lunas, though.
Mickey Lunas, yeah. So
that's why he confused me. Anyway.
To go on that point, I think the team around him is still actually really good. So if Winston can
talent.
He's got good receivers to throw to.
He's got Kamara. He's just got to hand the ball.
Exactly right. Really good offensive line. So
the thing, he doesn't have to throw deep balls like he did at Tampa Bay. He can throw those 10, 15 yard passes.
Yeah, Mike Thomas kills it on the slant. So,
And to again pump up his tyres, they haven't been stretching the field at all because Breeze couldn't throw it more than 20 yards down the field. Now they can.
You've got someone
it actually allows, if they can get a speed option on the outside, probably in the draft, but I think
that was going to be my question.
Where do they go?
They've got Smith and Sanders has just signed with
San Fran? No.
Bills.
Denver? No.
Bills.
Emmanuel Sanders?
I'm pretty sure he went to the Bills. And he flicked with John Brown.
They're receiving core now with Stephon. I think Cole's back and Emmanuel Sanders. That's legit.
Yeah. And Brown's moved and he's now gone on the Raiders. So that was a switch there. But I think, as you say, the Saints probably just missing one guy weapon-wise, but maybe they don't need it. Just pound the rock, give it to Kamara.
Their defense is sneaky.
Get some tight. They don't have tight ends. Well, they're paying Tyson. They're paying Taysom $140 million to be a good tight end. So
not to be a good tight end, to
be the best tight end.
Yeah.
But I think they have to go to the draft because they're so tight to the cap now. For this year,
they got to get young.
For this year, next year when it blows back out and they get the TV deal, they'll be able to splash some cash. But going forward, they're going to want as much draft capital as they can get to try and help Jameis so they can still stay viable. I mean, we were talking last week about the Bucks. How do they not run away with that division? So.
Go back up, James.
Yeah.
So,
I got a little sneak peek of your top 10 there.
We'll get into that later. We obviously last week on the Esky, Pepsi made an outrageous claim that Amari Cooper wasn't a top 10 receiver, but we'll get into that. Stay tuned.
We'll keep going with this quarterback news. So the next really interesting story actually was Fitzmagic. He's going to the Washington football team. That's his 9th team, the most to start as a QB in NRL history. Macau, of course, has got the most as the ultimate journeyman with 12, but he only started for 8 teams.
Yep.
But that's I guess a big improvement for
I think he must
Washington.
have started for less than 8 teams.
Less than 8 teams,
because Fitzmagic has started for 8 teams, those being the Rams, Bengals, Bills, Titans, Texans, Jets, Bucks, Finns, if you don't mind.
He hasn't started for Washington yet. He will.
He will start for
But
Washington.
I think those 8 starts must already be more than McCown.
Yeah. But that's a.
I think McCown's. Sorry to interrupt you. I think he might have 6 daughters or something, and they all took one of his jerseys to school one day, and they're like all different.
Oh, really?
Teams,
Oh,
yeah.
that's pretty
Hilarious.
Cool. That's pretty cool.
But it's Fitzmagic, of course, is going there to replace. Alex Smith has been let go, and Alex Smith is still out there in the wild to be picked up by a team, possibly.
That's a bit rude, isn't it? Comeback player of the year. Yeah, but it's a business. We talk about it.
He had a decent deal.
And he got his award, and he did great, and he got them to the playoffs.
And he kept his bloody legs. So
he was life-threatening.
That's where the chat was at one stage.
So congrats to him. But he had a massive cap hit as well. It was a no-brainer, really.
But you think of that Washington team now. They got Antonio Gibson there. They got Terry McLaurin.
There he is.
They've just signed Curtis Samuel as well.
Which is a cool story because he and McLaurin were receivers at Ohio State together, and they were both coming out on social say like we were talking about this when we were in freshman year, and like this is so cool. So I reckon Scary Terry was on the recruiting train there, and now we know what. Like McLaurin's numbers over the past couple of years have been insane, and he's had fish throwing the ball to him. Really, now he's got Fitzmagic.
He's got an actual quarterback.
He just doesn't give a fuck. He just tosses up there, fizzes it. So if fantasy fans out there, I reckon Samuel and Scary Terry, they're going to be some good pickups, I'd imagine, and Gibson for that matter. So they tagged Schreff on the offensive line. Their offense, I wouldn't say it's top half of the league, but it's definitely improving.
And like we were talking about Dallas last week. You're in the shittest division in football.
Just got to win 5 games.
And their defense is especially defensive line is scary. So whereas they have the anti sort of Dallas, where they got the awesome defense,
and then a mediocre offense.
Yeah. So be interesting to see what plays out in the East there.
But they've finally added some weapons, so they could be.
And someone to get it to them.
They could be a 7-9 team and win that division. Probably the most crazy news was the Bears going hard for Russell Wilson from the Seahawks. There's a report that came out that both GMs had a bit of a secret meeting, got together, tried to hash it out, and then in the end, they kind of agreed that, Pete Carroll's 69 years old. We're not going to do a rebuild on him. Why? He's got his team. We'll finish up with what that is, and then he'll disappear, and he'll retire, and they'll then have a look at it. So, but they went close. Like Bears offered 3 firsts, a third next year, and then a second in the following, I think, in total. But 5 picks overall, 3 being firsts. Actually, no, it was
insane.
And players, I think they had
players retired with that.
I got it wrong. It was 3 firsts, a third, and 2 starters. So that was where the 2 starters came from.
We don't
know who those starters were, but you're thinking maybe
I'm imagining
Mac or
no.
Moving Robertson, like maybe that.
I reckon Robinson would be one of them and one of those defensive stars, maybe an Eddie Jackson or someone like that, because
that's a huge offer.
Well, the deal they offered Raiders for Khalil Mack was massive. So I think they look at the Rams and what they've done. Like, it doesn't matter if you get the awesome stud pass rusher, you can get Russell Wilson, one of the best 5 players in the comp. The rest will come. The rest will come. We don't need first round draft picks. So.
Seahawks management's like the bloody computer on Madden. I'm trading away my whole team to try and get one guy that's always rejected. Seriously,
that's a big time offer for a trade.
The GM, I think it's John Schneider up in Seattle. Sorry. I think they've played their cards. They've picked Pete Carroll over anything else because it's come down to Pete Carroll not wanting to develop. So whatever he said, he gets, which is. If I'm Russell Wilson, I said, and it was that weird one.
That's what was pissing Russell Wilson off in the first place was the fact that Pete was, so controlling. His sons were working there. They had good jobs. Like that. It was the Pete Carroll show.
Run ball for, exactly. I'm a run the ball first coach.
Yeah, and he was sick of losing. He was sick of that approach.
I don't care what type of coach you are. If you got Russell Wilson, let Russ cook is funny, but you just... And you got DK and him and Tyler Lockett have that hookup. Like, just all he wants is a couple of offensive linemen. Like, that's all he's really are. And he came out and he said that. And I think he retweeted again, PFF is toilet, but they retweeted their grades on their offensive line. And they were like, the best was 22nd over the time Russell Wilson or something stupid like that. So that's just a way to quantify how much he's been running for his life. I can't imagine not doing that. Like, you'd look at teams around the league when you get the quarterback, you'd just accommodate for them because you can't win without the quarterback. You can't win without the start. Like
it's an egotistic sport, so and
well,
that's in the coaching ranks as well. Like
it's millionaires working for billionaires. That's what you can never forget.
Yes.
We're talking about millionaires working for billionaires, so ego has to be thrown in there.
Mm-hmm.
And we look at Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. One wants to win without. They both want to win without each other. After winning for so long, and even they got bitten by the bug, and so
you've heard the classic story, I think, from Shaq on when he realized he was rich, not wealthy. Was because he realized he was rich when he went to get his checks from their $1 billion owner, and he realized, well, I'm rich, he's wealthy.
He's wealthy, yeah.
There is a difference between the two. It's like, those extra zeros in the end do add up in the end.
For everything. So, ego comes into all of it, but I mean,
big time.
Seattle, I think they're just on the way down. Like in that, they haven't really made any moves, haven't made any signings. So if you're getting off,
very tough division.
If you're getting made that offer, I think you just got to go look, bang, reset button, and it accelerates that. You're able to get to your goal a bit quicker. Obviously, you then need to find a quarterback, and you have one. So it's as Parramatta go over here with 13 minutes left.
Yeah, Para take the upper hand. Monks, I saw that. I had an outrageous claim about McCown having 6 daughters, although the story wasn't far off.
Story wasn't far off. So this was back when he was playing for Cleveland. One of his daughters, so he has 4 children, 2 daughters, 2 sons. One of his daughters had a jersey day where she enlisted 6 of her friends to share around his jerseys.
Show the boys the photo. There's all different teams and getting around Daddy, the true journeyman.
There are two, Bears jerseys there, so might be playing favourites there, but
we've got a Bucks, we've got a
Miami.
That makes sense.
Yeah, Finns.
He'd have
Browns,
to change. He would have had
Lions.
to change one of those Bears numbers because that's when Mitch would have joined.
Okay, yeah, good pick up that. Good pick up.
Because I'm sure was Mitch playing in 12 or 15? I can't remember.
15, I believe.
15.
So,
he's Josh McCown 12, so I imagine his number's 12. Yeah. Just by his Twitter, I don't know that off the top of my head. It's on the screen. Yeah. There you go. Bit of a cool stat, but Fitz magic. That's going to be fun in Washington, I think. It's going to make watching Washington.
He's fun watching.
It was fun watching him this year. They made the playoffs in a stink division, but no one expected them to even do that. So, it was fun to watch the football team.
Harvard man, so that's
So some
just
other
the footnote, I suppose, in that Chicago thing. Yeah, so they've signed Andy Dalton to a 1-year, $10 million deal. What does that mean for Mitchell Trubisky?
Well, he's a free agent. They've said he can test the market and they'll...
Yeah,
they didn't even do his 5th-year option, I don't think. So, he's gone. He's gone. So, Dalton will compete with Foles.
They could have had Mahomes.
Yeah.
They
could have almost had Russell.
They could have
had Watson. They traded up.
They could have had Watson. They could have had Mahomes. The poor people of Chicago.
Yeah. Now they've got Dalton versus
you
Foles.
You hear that the day, like, that's how close they were to signing. The GMs were at dinner.
Yeah.
And then a couple hours later, they've got Andy Dalton.
The Red Rifle.
The Red Rifle. I mean, he kind of did all right in the home stretch with Dallas, but God, I'd be so flat if I was a Chicago fan hearing I'm that close to Russell Wilson.
You're not winning a Super Bowl with Andy Dalton.
No, a bit of a break. And we talked about it there. They played playoffs, so they'd be picked 20-ish.
Yep.
You're not getting your next franchise quarterback, so you're going to have to make moves. So... But, I mean, look, they're willing to make moves to get Russell Wilson. Are they willing to make moves to get inside the top 10? That is very good.
Hilarious.
Would someone like to explain that in words?
All right, verbal meme.
Verbal meme. Good, actually.
Let's move on.
It's good.
I know it's good.
We'll put it. I tell you what, we'll put it up on the socials. We'll rack it up on our Instagram. We'll put it up on our Instagram.
An hour and 57 through. I'm going to post this meme on our Instagram. We do need to get that going. Please give us a follow on the Esky. It's pretty much just photos of us at my Bucks party.
We're playing golf. That's it.
So, we do need to try and move along in that form of the socials. I'm going to post that meme on it tonight.
Excellent. Thank you, Pepsi. Look, head to that for some more good content. But yeah, got poor Bears fans.
Yes. So let's move on to some other news. Michael Brockers has been traded to the Lions. The Rams asked him to redo his deal, bringing the cap number down because they're still trying to get under the cap. He said no. So they flicked him for a seventh to the Lions.
Seventh.
Yeah, bugger all, because it's a salary dump.
Yep.
And it was interesting because there's a tweet from Brockers where he said Goff was, a level and Stafford is a step up.
An upgrade.
An upgrade.
We've
So
upgraded with
we've
Stafford.
upgraded.
He said that.
Yeah.
Now he's going to go see him in the locker room.
Yeah.
He's like, so, Jared, nice to see you, bro.
How good is that?
Yeah, it's too funny.
Oh, no. I didn't hear about that.
But
At least they play on different sides of the ball.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
they probably. I wonder if that's a common thing. If you actually don't see your quarterback, if you're a defensive end, and
Not that much, you wouldn't
you
think.
probably wouldn't.
Yeah.
And maybe pre-season you try.
He'd be
and hit
red shirted, so
Yeah.
you might say hello to him occasionally if you
Yeah.
get through the line.
Yeah,
But
have a little tap on the ass.
God, yeah, I saw that. That was very, very funny. But I would guarantee that was a deliberate move by LA when they said, "Would you lower your number?" Like, come on, we're trying times. Everyone's got to try and do this, and he said no. They went, "Oh, fuck you! We'll pick the most awkward team for you, Michael." Because he's a very good football player.
Yeah, Michael Brockers, for our more casual NFL fans, long-time defensive end.
10 years at the Rams, almost 10 years at the
Yeah.
Rams. First round pick for them in 2012 from memory.
That's pretty good off the top of your head. Playing outside a guy called Aaron Donald. I'm sure even the most casual NFL fans have heard of that bloke. So, yeah, he's off to Detroit to go see the quarterback that he said was not as good as the quarterback.
Average.
Yeah, he could have been playing with. That was a long sentence.
Anyway.
Trent Williams.
Yeah,
this
someone
is one,
that isn't average.
Yeah, this is one of the biggest stories, I think, this week. He's going to become the highest paid lineman in NFL history. 6 years, $138 million, $55 million guaranteed at the San Francisco 49ers. Left tackle.
30 mil signing bonus as well.
30 mil signing bonus.
nice.
After sitting out a year as well.
Not last year, before.
Year before,
Yes.
held out.
He sat out a year, came back,
Former-
and dominated.
Washington R-word player.
He had some trouble at the R words. Because he had a head injury and he went and got scans and he
I think it had hip as well. Like
head and a hip, and he was angry at the way he said he was hurt. They said you got to play, and they kept. So he was like, "All right, I'm not playing. You have to trade me.
Yeah.
They got him to San Francisco, and he's 32 years old.
Yeah.
And he signs this deal.
6 years. He's signed till he's 38.
That's
pretty nuts as a tackle.
Big investment for someone who's got injury history.
Well,
very good. He's an all-pro tackle. He's very
if you
good.
believe-
One of the best.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you
he'll be a future Hall of Famer.
If you believe the PFF poo-poo rankings, he was number one last year.
Yeah.
So, and by a decent amount of points. So they did rate him very well for his work last year.
You know what the best thing he ever did was?
Leave Washington.
Slap Richard Sherman.
Oh, yeah. He also sprung like the block of the universe. I don't know if you saw it. He's at left tackle and there's like a little safety. It could even be Buda Baker or someone and they're like out the back. And you can see that's his assignment just isn't there. So he's like, I'm just going to run and bowl over whoever I see. And poor Buda Baker, he's so tiny. And he takes off and he just absolutely cleans him up. It's one of the funniest blocks you've ever seen. Trent Williams is obviously 6'7", 350 pounds.
Yeah.
And he absolutely mops him up. It's as clean as it gets.
Well, we're talking earlier on in the episode about getting murdered if we were to play any high-level rugby league.
Storm over.
Imagine being 180-pound defensive back and
this bloke's
one
running.
of the biggest humans alive is running at you and trying to put you into the turf.
Have you got it there, Marks?
Scary.
Yeah. This
Let's
is
have a look here. So he's come out.
Oh no, cameraman.
Yeah, here we go.
This would be great
Oh, no.
listening. So
They've missed it. He's just shot off at his block. He's got no one in front of him. He's already in the second level and just annihilates the safety who for... it's probably Buda Baker in that regard.
my God.
Actually, no, that's the linebacker.
It's a
man.
linebacker.
Is that
Wow,
Reddick?
he looks so small.
Oh, my
He looks so small next to him. That's how big this human is.
Is that Hassan Reddick that he's just pancaked?
I don't know.
Could be.
Anyways, this
lit him
is
up.
horrible.
Or is it Isaiah Simmons? Like it could be
It's
one of them.
horrible listening. If you guys want to
If
look
it's
at
Isaiah Simmons, the rookie, just getting
if you
blown up.
guys want to look at what we're watching at the moment, it's Trent Williams, huge pancake against the Cardinals on YouTube.
And we might throw that up on our socials as well.
exactly. Yeah, we'll link that somewhere.
Yeah, we can link that up somewhere. Try and get the socials going a bit more than our
Big kick in the
shit talk.
league.
Yeah.
Big kick in the league here to tie it up with only a couple of minutes left. Olam goes over in the
God, it's
corner.
still pissing down rain, isn't it?
So the final detail on this Williams contract was his average pay per year was $10,000 more than the previous contract. So it was just a big, and I think it was a Packers lineman that had the previous deal, and they've gone back and forth.
Back to Yari, it would have been,
They've gone back and forth on Twitter, and I was like, I see you, Williams. Just that little extra bit to tip him over.
Like, you want to talk ego earlier, and that's what the quarterback market was. It was the next, it wasn't even, Pap.
He's got it.
He's long back. Yeah.
12-5 to go, Parramatta, Melbourne, Pappenhausen just sneaks that past the right upright.
Yeah, just with the contracts. It wasn't always best player got paid. It was just whoever was up next got paid. Because you could compare your stats and say, I might be better than him, and you got to pay him because you've got me.
Yep.
But then Mahomes got paid and went, no one's going to pay more than that. So that sort of reset the market. Whereas the tackles, they just seem to be going a little bit more. And God, 10,000 more to God, 10,000 to us is
just
huge.
10 grand.
But there's someone who's just signed $50 million guaranteed. He was
$60,000
grand.
yeah, exactly. He's not going to notice 10 grand if it's someone takes it from him. So, but
actually, no, that's Russell O'Coon. Now I think about it. There was a story about
the
Russell,
Bitcoin.
The Bitcoin, did his contract in Bitcoin, and
no, I think he put half of it in Bitcoin, and he's
based on his contract.
And it was written into his contract, and he's doubled his money.
I think it was he did it when
into 21 or something.
I think it was like 27 up to 60 something.
Yeah. It's whatever the market rate now is in comparison between that. But that's not to say, because he's a big crypto guy, what other he's invested as well. So he could be one of the richest left tackles in the game.
Well, the deal took him into top 20 or top 30 or something. Right. So pretty cool. I reckon it's got to be the future. I don't know about anything, but it's got to be the way you'll see it happen more and more.
If anyone's got some crypto chat, get at us at Jared Ross, if you
sports all the boys are getting a shout out tonight. It's good.
Anyways,
any more notable free agent?
Do you want to open? I think we might run through our 4 teams. Is probably something that's interesting for us because we like that. Well, you can start at the top there. We can skip through some of it real quick.
Well, the Ravens want to be quick.
Exactly.
There's so much there. So much there.
Yeah.
Essentially,
is that the top, or you just skip the Jets?
We're on the NFL's free agency tracker.
Yeah, East is a start. So we talked about Sanders. They've joined there, and they've got Levi Wallace coming back. That's probably their two main
Buffalo
ones.
Bills.
So Dolphins, they've got
Jacoby Brissett. So he might back up Tua, but also might push. He's won games in the NFL, so that's actually gone under the radar. I think
he was good at the Colts. Not last year, the year before Phillip Rivers got there.
We've talked about most of these, so scroll down. Then the Patriots is probably the big one.
Well, this is the big one.
We talked about Cam.
They went absolutely ham today and yesterday, our time. So they've got 2 pretty good tight ends in Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry from the Titans and Chargers, respectively.
Both been paid like good tight ends.
Yeah, they're getting paid like big-time tight ends. So Jonnu's on 4 years, 50 mil, 3 years, 37 there for Hunter. So they've just spent $87 million on 2 tight ends.
Jonnu Smith hasn't had 500 yards in a season yet.
Yeah, it's crazy. But
he's a red zone
threat. He catches some serious touchdowns. Shout out to Michael Steamson. He said Cam later in his career looks between the numbers. I think this might be a very deliberate move by Belichick to get him some really good targets between the numbers there.
And they won with, they had Hernandez and Gronk. They've shown history with winning with 2 big tight ends.
2 tight ends.
They like that playbook.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And then looking wider than the numbers, Nelson Aguilar and Kendrick Bourne both go to the Pats on pretty reasonable deals there. 2 years, $26 million for Nelson.
Aguilar
3 years, 22.
Had a pretty good year with the Raiders.
Yeah, so former Eagle.
Cashed in after his year. He's 1 year prove it deal, so he proved it.
And Kendrick Bourne on talent as well.
Yes,
very fast.
He's got wheels.
In terms of production, probably a little under that money, but
you see what McDaniels can do with him. I think is what they're looking at.
Yeah, and what does Belichick do with so receivers?
Yeah,
Julian Edelman and Wes Welker. I'm sure when that no one was going, look at this big signing when they went there, and turned out pretty good for them.
And I think we've covered most. Well,
Trent Brown,
that trade from the Raiders clearing out their offensive line, and they haven't kind of replaced it like Kansas has, but they've been moving guys. Your boy
Matt Judon got paid.
Paid and joined them.
Yeah,
4 years, 56
the
mil.
next mediocre outside linebacker to leave the Raiders and get paid elsewhere.
It's awesome, yeah. And you won't leave the Ravens and they shit, and then they slowly come back. Pernell McPhee, eat your heart out. Kyle Van Noy.
That happened today.
This was an awesome story. I saw it and it's it was a good Belichick meme. So Van Noy signed with the Dolphins in the off season
for a decent.
For a good coin, so the Patriots got a 4th round compensation pick, and they traded. Then they get him back this year, so they get the 4th round pick
and him.
They got for him and him this year. So that's Belichick playing chess there. So, but that shows you the business side. They signed Miami signed Kyle Van Noy to a massive contract, and 12 months later he's a free agent. So.
And they also added Mills in the back end.
Jalen Mills,
from the Eagles.
He played all right.
He's a good solid safety.
Yeah,
converted corner.
Converted corner. We've spoken about that on the Esky before. Smaller guys as they probably lose a step of pace, moving to safety. They've got a really, really good defensive backfield there.
Because did Chung sit out last year?
Chung sat out. He should be back.
Yep. We've got Hightower back, of course.
Yep.
JC
Jackson
he
came
signed
on
his
as
tender.
And Stephen Gilmore.
So that back four was.
Their defense, they've bought well.
Well, they've bought that. They had.
And they've still got Devin McCourty.
The McCourty boys, both of them, I think.
Yep.
So
that's the best secondary in the NFL. You'd think.
They had the second or third most cap space. They had 60 mil, and they just spent it. Like I've never seen. Like Belichick, you always think wading in the water and, getting cheap pickups and, he's so clever. Just bought everyone. I'm not going to say anyone there is actually an A-plus player.
Yeah, but...
All starters. A lot of starters.
It's roles and...
A lot of starters. And in terms of guys that go out and spend big money, going through the last 5 years, the top free agent spender, last year was the Finns. They improved by 5 wins. The year before, the Jets, they improved by 3. Bears and Jaguars, the 2 years before that, improved by 7 wins, and the Giants improved by 5 wins. You get immediate return on investment by spending big in the off-season. And I was saying it last week, don't rule out the Patriots. With Belichick at the helm, guys coming back, one of the best defenses in the league before COVID.
He's a defensive genius, so...
Yeah. And
he's got some guys, and he just needs Cam and...
I know the Bills and Finns are probably favoured on paper over him coming up, but you can't rule out Belichick.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, you don't make money betting against the Pats, so keep rolling through.
Yeah, so Jets, Corey Davis and Kyle Lawson, and they're probably the 2 main ones actually from this. So adding a few weapons. Lawson's a bit of an up and comer coming out of play for the Bengals.
Defensive end.
So whatever they do with the second round pick will then determine how well they've done in free agency.
But for a club that has lots of money, they've not done too much to this point.
But again, who's the best player in free agency? Kenny Golladay, maybe.
I think the receivers are left. Golladay,
they're all
Fuller,
the ones who are left.
Juju.
Are any of them all stars? So it's one of those shitty years to have a lot of money because it's a COVID year, and 2, there aren't really people out there that you got to go and get. You must break the bank with them. It's one of those. I think Belichick's done. He's brought in 15 people or whatever. So it's more doing it that way, bringing quality starters.
Roll 50 mil cap over next year. They can't do that.
But exactly right. Keep it and draft well and then pay your own. That's what the Colts seem to be doing. That's why they're hanging on to their money. They've got upcoming free agents. But as we roll into the AFC North, the best division in football, not a lot going on with the Ravens. Re-signing Derek Wolfe, Tyus Bowser and Pernell McPhee.
A lot of resigning in that lot.
Essentially
the whole defensive line's been resigned.
Yep. Yeah, but outside of Wolfe and Bowser, they're the only 2 starters there. They brought in Kevin Zeitler from the Giants, who's going to help protect Lamar. Really hoping for a receiver. Really, really, really hoping for a receiver. I thought it would have happened now. I thought like a Marvin Jones. It was cheap. I thought that would have...
Yeah, I think the rest of the wide receiver market at the moment is kind of there. They're all waiting. So there's a whole bunch of good names and guys there that I think a few of them are the ones with injuries. Like Golladay had bad hips.
You got his name right.
Yeah.
I can say it, I just can't spell it.
Good on you, buddy.
But Will Fuller as well as long-time injuries. Juju, I think, is probably the most healthy of it, but I don't think anyone sees him as a true number one.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
I think
They see him as a
Which
two.
is so strange from where he was 18 months ago.
He had AB outside him, and he just hasn't been the same since he's
again,
the guy.
he had a broken Ben thrown into him, so
that too.
he might have it. God, I wouldn't pay him wide receiver one money at the moment. But
you wouldn't risk it. So they're all guys that probably might sign a 1 year preview deal.
Yeah, I think they're waiting for someone to do it to set the mark because Golladay is probably, we can agree, is the best receiver there. So once he signs, you can then gauge because Golladay. God, Golladay now looks at Marvin Jones' deal and says, "I'm twice the player of him. I want twice his money." Whereas Will Fuller will then be able to say, "Okay." The more people that sign, you can. That's what agents want to do. They want to place them in. So Golladay to fall, and the dominoes will fall.
What's your thoughts on Josh Oliver?
Never heard of him.
Yeah, I've got no idea.
Honestly, never heard of him. I saw it, and I know he will get cut. I imagine.
From what I understand from Jaguars, he's talent. So he's got size and talent, but it's just whether he can turn that into play time.
I think he's got 3 career catches, so that doesn't interest me, to be honest. For like cool talent, we don't need talent right now.
I remember him coming out of at the draft, if I'm remembering the right, Oliver, and he had some chat about him coming out in the draft, but I don't think he's done a match at the Jags, but Jags are Jags.
And he's going to be our 3rd best tight end. Like I think it's just a squad signing. He won't be on a lot of money. They need a player who will play round 1 and be really good. It's not about drafting someone good. That's why I'm saying trade our 1st round pick to the Bears for Robinson at this stage and have him for a year because we might only have a year left.
Yep.
Keep Brown. It looks like they want to keep Orlando Brown by the looks of things and just have this really good offensive line and then see what Lamar can do. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I thought we'd have one by now, but it is what it is.
Do you want to flick that to the AFL? Para ended up winning that game against the Storm 16-12.
Yeah, well, there's 4 tips that go down the drain. We all went the Storm. No, we all went Storm.
No, I think we all went Storm.
Yeah. So
switch that.
Para 16-12
and then
out of rainy Bankwest Stadium.
Very rainy. And then can you switch, move down the other one? So Bengals, I think the main one was Hendrickson, who signed from the Saints.
Yeah, big deal.
Big deal for him.
He had like 14 sacks this year, didn't he? Yeah.
Yes, but also playing across from Cam Jordan does help.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see if he ends up adding to that. But they, of course, trying to replace Lawson, who just left. So
big money there. 4 years, $60 million deal, 32 in the first 2 years.
Yeah, well, I think pass rushlers is a bit of a premium on it, and we'll get to Denver in a minute, but Denver had a team option with Von Miller, and they're trying to negotiate. But after these deals, they're like, well, he's fair money now, so they've kept Von on that team.
Oh, and Dusty's doing Dusty things here back on the AFL.
Doherty fumbles.
In the left forward pocket, ducks under a tackle, gets back to his feet, puts a little grubber into the square, and Richmond capitalises. 5 minutes left there. The Tigers lead by 11. Carlton not out of it just yet.
High scoring game. We love seeing that. The issue with the Bengals, just get back to the NFL, sorry, not a single offensive lineman signed, and you've already seen Joe Burrow get hurt, and he was running for his life and still playing well, so I'm shocked they didn't just,
Heavy on defense, though.
I imagine that's where they'll be drafting. That's where they'll be drafting because
they've gone heavy defense.
You got to protect a talent like Burrow.
Back on Josh Oliver. So he was drafted 69th.
Nice. I love him. Pay him all the money.
So early 3rd round.
Well, wait until you hear this. So that was back in 2019.
Yep.
He has played 4 games, started 1, has been pretty much injured since.
Yeah, that's what I thought. He had talent, he just hasn't been able to put it all together. And
roll of the dice so far.
Yeah.
What have the Browns been up to? Not a lot.
No, signed Johnson from the Rams.
That's a good signing.
He's a gun. Very good signing. And
young as well.
The Browns' pass defense was stink last year, even with guys like Denzel Ward. He was a bit injured. So now if he can stay healthy, John Johnson back there. Linebacker, they've signed Malcolm Smith, who won Super Bowl MVP when the
people forget
Seahawks
about
won.
that.
Yeah.
Again, intercept return touchdown.
Yeah. Again, that's one good game he's played. It's the biggest game, but defense obviously a big priority for the Browns. I think their offensive line's one of the best in football. They've got the weapons both in the backfield and outside, and if Baker can just keep that steady, improve.
Yeah, not let the Ravens score 40 points on them. They'll win games.
And when Lamar needs to do a poo-poo.
Yeah, he does.
Schittsburg
Yeah, not overly much for Schittsburg based on that.
lost a lot of players.
Yeah.
Bud Dupree, Vance Williams.
I don't think their cap's real great at the moment.
And they got to pay Watt in the coming years.
Yeah.
Big Ben's
Do you think
shrunk his
They're
cap.
trying to. Yeah, I think they've.
Do you reckon they try and draft a quarterback?
They should?
Yeah, there'd be a perfect landing spot for a young quarterback to learn for a year. I think they're a prime candidate. I don't know if they'll do it now to go after Darnold. I still have high hopes in Sam Darnold. I think you'd throw a second-round pick at Sam Darnold and see. I could see him playing for Pittsburgh. To compete with Ben this season. If you don't win, he's cheap. He's on his rookie deal. See what he's got because the Jets have to pick a quarterback. Though.
They're definitely picking a quarterback too.
So
can't do anything else.
Yeah, I think they're a prime candidate to go after Darnold because they can't afford to go and get anyone else. And like we said, they've had to let Juju go. He's another one. They've run it. Yeah, James Connors. He's banged up. The offensive line's old. I think they're about to start a rebuild. Yeah, and it's Cleveland and Baltimore are just young and good. Whereas Steelers has been great for a long time, but it's just time to reset and go again. So a quarterback sooner rather than later because the one they've got now is old and slow and fat, loser.
So
a loser that's won 2 Super Bowls.
The Texans.
Yeah, semantics.
Yeah, let's move on to Texans.
A lot going on here.
A little bit.
A lot going on here.
Yeah,
a lot of it's like.
That's a lot of so-so guys. I think.
No, like the Patriots signed a lot of starters and spent a lot of money.
Yeah.
Texans spent some money to get
some guys.
guys.
I think Mark Ingram and Tyrod Taylor are probably the two main names in that.
Two Ravens legends.
We talked about some of the others already. Just got down.
Tigers, Kwame.
That's probably about it.
Yeah,
most of the guys are just
guys who have been in the league, and because no one's going to come to the Texans.
He's an okay linebacker.
No one's going to come to the Texans right now because no one knows what the Texans are going to be. They don't know what Deshaun is. That there's obviously the story coming out about Deshaun, which is troubling. So that you're not going to bring in anyone good. They've got $30 million. There's 12 one-year deals there. So whatever they're going to spend the money anyway, may as well just buy some guys in the league and draft well. You just got to draft well, even though they don't have any picks. So they're in a shit spot at the moment.
And Deshaun's probably in a bit of bother at the moment because there's one case and then there's a second one coming out, and I think there's 4 other possible women that are all jumping on that.
He's filed against them, a class action against them, I think.
Exactly.
Or no, class action's a group.
Because
whatever. He's counted.
Because the other thing is all these women have joined up on this one judge, and the judge, whatever you want to say about that bloke, but none of these ladies had actually gone through the police at all, so it's never gone through any of the judicial system. So who knows where that's going, honestly. We'll just wait and see.
It's messy, isn't it?
It's
really
messy.
messy. For someone like Deshaun Watson, he's such a good football player, and he's actually donated a lot of money to Houston when they went through the floods. So it's really sad to see. Like he's probably just sitting there going, well, this is like shit situation just got a lot shitter. So
Yeah, wait and see what happens.
Doesn't help Houston. It doesn't help his chances.
Let that get decided by the courts, I think.
This is going to be another 4-goal victory here. This is exactly what it's going to be the same thing.
What did I say? I said 170, so I was wrong. I was off by 10.
Well, it's a carbon copy curtain raiser.
Jack Revolds.
Jack Revolds just spilled a chest mark there. It looks like the Tigers are probably going to win by about 20-odd points. After Carlton stick with them for 3 quarters, it's literally mirror images of the last six curtain raisers.
Monkey, can you scroll down on... Sorry, thank you.
Next would be the
Colts, who've done not much, just resigning their blokes, because like you said before, there's just saving money for signing.
Bit going on in Jacksonville.
So they brought Hyde across. They get Dorsett and Jones across. We talked about Robinson last time.
Marvin Jones, that is.
Yes.
Yep. That's a good addition, I think. There. Yep.
Yeah.
You got Trevor Lawrence coming in. You need experienced pass catchers. So
got some offensive guys in there. Got a running back to help out to help with Robinson. And then they've gone...
Good kick.
Great kick from Jack Revolds. So 24 points is what we've been saying.
And then they've gone heavy on defense. Probably the main one is Shaquille Griffin, who's come across from Jacksonville on a good... Seattle
to Jacksonville.
Yes, correct. On a big deal. So that's good money for him, averaging 12 or 13 million a year.
Good money for Shaq Griffin. And don't forget the guy with the most questionable name in the NFL, Jihad Ward.
Yeah.
Enough said on that.
Yeah. moving on. Tennessee Titans didn't do overly much.
They got Bud Dupree.
They
Yeah,
did sign
that's
Bud
good.
Dupree. That's probably the main.
Paid him
yeah.
big money, 5 years, up to 85 million there, 35 million guaranteed.
Coming off an ACL is
That's big money.
Jarvis Jenkins is another name guy that's
Janoris.
Sorry, who came across
from the Saints. He was
Saints.
part of that cap crunch, so
Yes, yeah.
he was one of their easy cuts they just had to make. So 2 starters on defense, which again their pass rush suffered. So Bud Dupree fixes that, and then a good corner makes the quarterback hold on to it a little bit longer. So they've identified what their issue was and fixed it. Not fixed it, but addressed it at
Let's
least.
talk about the West. We've
Take it away.
overly not very much. Darby is probably the main big name. We signed Harris, of course.
The Denver Broncos.
We as in the Denver Broncos.
He's part of the organisation.
Yeah, exactly.
We done good on the weekend.
Yeah. So not overly much to report in this
Dustin
regard.
Martin's good.
Yeah, he's so good, isn't he?
Let's move on. Go.
So the Chiefs have.
They're missing one, I think, on that.
Well,
list.
they got rid of Schwartz and Fisher, their tackles we were talking about last week. Joe Thuney comes across from the Patriots on big money, 5 years, $80 million, 32 guaranteed.
And then they've added Kyle Long as well, who's coming back out of his short retirement.
Yep.
And I actually think there's another tackle they've added as well. I thought they added 3.
Monks will chase that up while we look at the Las Vegas Raiders.
Who I think have mostly moved guys because they've lost. Well, they just traded Rodney Hudson. He's been cards. Yeah.
I think Yannick Ngaku is the biggest signing there.
Darkway.
Yeah.
Ngakwe?
Yeah.
2 years, $26
John Brown's
million.
probably the other one on that list.
Yeah. Richie Incognito, he must be about 40.
Well, they released him and then brought him back because his cap number was high. Hudson and Trent Brown went to the Patriots.
That's
so
big losses off there.
They must hate Derek Carr.
Yeah.
They're
And
2
I
best
think-
offensive linemen.
And there was rumours of trying to get rid of Gabe Jackson as well.
Oh, he's gone as well. Yeah, they traded Gabe
that's it.
Jackson. So they've
got no one on their
We
offensive
leaky
line.
offensive line there.
yeah,
in
and
Las
Derek
Vegas.
Carr wouldn't say he's a mobile quarterback. And again, they seem committed to him. Gruden's come out and said, "Yeah, that's my quarterback, man." I'm telling you that this Derek Carr, man, he could throw a football real far, man. I'm gonna watch him get sacked 6 times a game, man.
What about Chargers? I don't think they've done. I think they've signed a corner from memory.
They got rid of
Michael
Hayward.
Davis.
Michael Davis. They've re-signed him.
Lindsley as well, they paid
Lindsley,
big.
that's the big one. Yeah.
He comes
From
over from the
Packers.
Packers, yeah.
Best centre in
PFF, according to them, best centre.
last year.
And they had a stink offensive line. Again, you've got a gun young quarterback.
Yep.
Look after him. That's all you got to do. So it's shocking to see some of these teams. Just
Why is Chiefs not in this list?
We already
did
covered them.
Tooney. They had Tooney and Kyle.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Ignore me. Keep going.
Always do.
Into the NFC now.
The East. Nothing much there.
Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
Leonard Williams. We
We've
talked
spoken
about them re-signing.
John Ross moving across the Giants.
Cheap meal. I mean, he's so quick, but he's soft tissue stuff, which he's more of a sprinter than a football player, really.
Keeps going.
4-2-4.
Yeah, Philly
40.
cap crunch. They've done nothing. They haven't been able to. They've just had to
They
release
just cut
people.
Jeffrey as well. So Alshon Jeffrey is done.
That's who the Ravens will pick up. They'll sign someone dumb like that who's shit and old and injured. I can just see it already.
Used to be pretty good.
Yeah, it was
4 or
elite.
5 years
Yeah,
ago.
Matt, he would be great to have on the team.
Yeah.
Probably down now, though.
Yeah.
We talked about
all
Washington,
of
Fitzmagic,
these.
That's
Curtis
it.
Samuel coming over.
Sorry, the NFC
Don't forget the North.
They're North.
We've spoken about Chicago.
Yeah, no. Again, this is Jamal Williams. That's right, the backup to Aaron Jones goes over to Detroit to back up DeAndre Swift. I think that's a good 1-2 punch there.
He's pretty good. Like he's sneaky good.
Yeah, but everyone that thought Swift was going to be a bell cow and was going to use him in fantasy. No. Unfortunately.
He's got some injury clouds as well. He can catch it out of the back.
He come good towards the end of the year.
Well, Williams, there'll definitely be a 1-2 punch, like you said.
Yeah, which will be good. And Green Bay obviously re-signing Jones.
They probably need to get a receiver at some point. I'd say just add
have
someone.
to draft him for the love of God.
Yeah.
Minnesota get Dalvin Tomlinson from the Giants. He's a gun. He's a big boy in the middle. He's a wrecker.
And the big name, of course, Patrick Peterson joins them.
1 year, $10 million. Aging corner.
Bit of a private deal, back in purple and yellow.
Yeah,
Do you reckon this is where he moves from corner to safety?
Well, they've got Harrison.
Harrison's off contract.
Who's?
So
And Nelson's off contract. They've still got Harrison Smith, Anthony Nelson.
Anthony
Nelson. Sorry, Anthony Nelson. Yes.
So maybe, but yeah.
They need
in a new system to change to a new position is pretty wild. Unless that was part of the deal, saying, "Hey, come here and we'll do this."
Yeah,
we'll switch you over. But I don't know, Mark's good question though.
1 year deal would be pretty hard though, I guess as well.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe. Yeah.
Falcons not doing much.
Falcons.
Yeah, into the NFC South.
Panthers have got Reddick, so they've brought him across from the Cards because, of course, the Cards have just got JJ, so they didn't need any more pass rushers at this point. That was probably the main one out of that list.
Yeah.
And Saints, we talked about them. Oh, they did resign time.
And the Bucks are looking to run it back.
Yeah.
Look at the names on the Bucks. These were the names we thought.
Everyone.
And we were talking about Shaq Barrett was going to go and get paid, but with the Brady restructure, David taking a cut, there was enough money there, and it's a 4-year, $68 million deal, which is getting paid. It's $36 million guaranteed. He'll play really well. He knows the system. Todd Bowles is a very good coordinator, and that's something that's gone unnoticed. Is they've kept their whole coaching staff together, not just their playing group. Their coordinators get another year with the same players, not losing anyone. I mean, we've talked about Sue, but it wouldn't shock me if Ndamukong Suh comes back for a vet minimum. So the team that won the Super Bowl only adds in the draft, really. Like, they're not going to bring in a new player, but they're going to draft some good young players.
But they've kept the whole band together.
Where's their weakness? Where do we think that?
Can't see one.
No.
Can't see one. We were talking about the start of the NFL season last year, in the very early days of on the Esky, we were worried about their secondary, and they came on.
Yeah, those young,
Antoine
quick,
Winfield, Jordan Whitehead.
Bunting mid,
and they can only add
Murphy
to it
Bunting,
through the draft as well. So.
Carlton Davis came along. Yeah.
So,
can't see a weakness there in Tampa Bay.
Did JPP resign?
Haven't seen.
Maybe he's still a free agent. So, JPP, but again, you go get it. There's actually quite a deep pool of pass rushes. You can get someone good at 32. So, yeah, it's a bit scary. And especially we talk about that division. Saints are floundering. They've got Jameis Winston's a bit unknown, and Falcons.
We've done nothing.
They cruise to the NFC South title.
Exactly. And they'll host a playoff game, so they'll be able to time their run pretty well there.
Sorry, you go.
JPP signed a tier extension.
Jeez.
There you go. So the band is together. And that continuity. You can't quantify that because knowing a system, knowing how you're going to play, like you look at the development of Devin Bush. He was a bit lost in his rookie year. Even in a COVID year without a preseason, came on and was should have been Pro Bowl.
They're going to have OJ Howard back next year too.
Devin White.
Devin White.
Yeah, Bush. So Bush was serious.
It's very confusing.
Yeah, a couple of draft picks apart.
Over at Pittsburgh Steelers.
I've been sitting next to Sean for far too long. Apologies.
OJ Howard, of course, back for this team. So, another weapon.
Deep at every position.
Yeah. And finish off at the NFC West.
NFC West.
Yeah. Now, these guys have been busy.
Very busy.
AJ Green, we're talking about how their receiving core is really good, and they might just need that one extra guy. AJ Green going over to the Arizona Cardinals.
That was surprising. How do you fit them all on the field?
Well, that's why I think that might be unfortunate for Fitzgerald. I think he'd be more than happy. I'll be the 4th, 5th receiver, but
mentor.
Then he's got to go. Well, I got to play special teams, so he could be the odd one out in this regard.
Larry Fitzgerald doesn't play. Why does he play? No, he's not quick enough, and 2, you're not making a 15-year-old vet play.
Exactly,
maybe he'll retire.
So Green and Fitzgerald, they're the old heads. Christian Kirk in the slot. DeAndre Hopkins.
Yep.
Andy Isabella's your speed guy.
Yep, and they just added AJ Green.
Yeah, I had him at the start.
So that's
Kingsbury came from Texas Tech where he played with Mahomes. Spread, so you want 4 receivers on more than not. But God, I don't know. I thought you could put $6 million somewhere else. They did go and get Rodney Hudson, as we said, to help Kyler.
Yep.
They obviously signed JJ Watt. That was the first big signing. So that defense gets a little bit better.
And they just added Matt Prater as well, so they get a good kicker too.
Yeah. Marcus Golden on the defensive line as well. So they look like they're shaping up. If you're in the NFC West these days, you've got to bring your guns to the fight because it's not a bad team in that division. There isn't one. So
what about the other half of Hamish Andy Lee there? Hamish and Andy, that's his name, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
On to the LA Rams.
Yes, moving on for that absolutely terrible joke. They didn't
I
do.
couldn't remember Hamish's surnames.
They didn't do very much. The Rams.
Hamish
They just. They didn't. Did they add or no? They've re-signed.
Re-signed Leonard Floyd. Matthew Stafford obviously in that trade.
Yeah. Anyway,
It's getting late here on the Esky.
Well, I think my interest in this is starting to wane. We're going through all 30.
Yeah,
49. I don't think we planned to do this, but we got halfway through.
49ers haven't
Really
done
looking
too
at our own
much.
teams at the business.
Yeah, Alex Mack,
Yeah.
probably the main one. Keep going.
Yeah.
And Seahawks, I don't think have done over.
They were in that trade for Gabe Jackson, so they did get one offensive lineman for Russell,
Yeah.
and Gerald Everett from the Rams. Who
That's not solid ad.
That's a good ad, and
tight end.
although Russell, he's historically been awful for tight ends. As someone who's owned a couple of tight ends,
Some
in
good ones.
fantasy,
Yeah.
Jimmy Graham was murdered in Seattle.
Yeah.
Greg Olsen did all right, I guess. So. But yeah,
Underwhelming.
anyway, that's
That's free agency to
That's-
this point.
everyone.
That went a lot
who
longer
is,
than I expected.
yeah.
Sorry. So I guess the one last piece of news was Drew Brees, who said he's retired. He's joining the NBC crew to do a bit of commentary. We'll see how that goes.
He actually signed that a couple of years ago. Like they got
Yeah.
in on him
Yeah,
early, so as
before
soon
it,
as
yeah.
But he's going to do like the Olympics as well as football and
Oh,
stuff.
really?
Like he's
Wow.
Just
a budding Bruce, if you would.
Be very interesting. So I guess we come to the most important part of the NFL chat.
the thing that I've been deliberating about over the last 3 nights.
The top 10 wide receivers in the NFL currently, Peps versus Macca. The question was, is Amari Cooper in your top 10? Take it away.
I kind of said it in passing, but I'm going to back it up with this. Number 1, Devontae Adams. Number 2, DeAndre Hopkins. Tyreek Hill, DK, Stephon Diggs rounds out my top 5.
Yep.
And then a few vets, some guys that have put up some crazy numbers. Mike Evans, Julio Jones, Mike Thomas. That top 8, I think for me, picked itself. This is where it started to become a little bit murky for me. And I had a bunch of guys. Amari Cooper was there. But he's just been pipped by Keenan Allen and Allen Robinson. I did have guys like Justin Jefferson came along really nicely this year. Calvin Ridley, Tyler Lockett, Chris Godwin, DJ Moore, AJ Brown, Brandon Cooks. So in summary, Amari Cooper, he's there or thereabouts for top 10. He's definitely a top 20 guy. And I'm going to stand by my statement and say he's not quite there just yet. Macca, do you have a counter, please?
Well, it's a great list. You've done really, really well. You're wrong.
Run us through your list,
You
Macca.
couldn't be more wrong. I mean, I'm with you. I've got Hopkins and Adams, 1,
I think
2.
they're arguably 1 and 2.
But the other way around, that's subjective. They're both absolute
They're
guns.
guns.
The hands, the route running, the speed. I've got Mike Evans all the way up at number 3. I think
that
his
is
size,
big.
his
Yeah.
speed,
Okay.
and his stats. He's the only bloke, I think, 7 or 8 seasons, have 1,000
yeah,
yards,
very consistent.
10 touchdowns every year. Like he's a
And
beast.
getting more looks this year.
Yeah,
with Brady
Brady.
there in the
Yeah,
red zone.
absolutely. I've got Stephon Diggs and Amari. I had to put Amari Cooper in top 5. I originally had him at 8, and I went,
Oh,
nah,
you got him,
I'm backing
you've got
up.
him above Tyreek Hill and DK.
We'll get to that.
Mike
We'll get to
Thomas
the
as
rest.
well.
We'll get to the rest of my
my
list.
God.
We'll get to the rest of my list very soon. Stephon Diggs was 3, and I moved Mike Evans above him. He's a freak. He's so good. He's got everything those top 2 have, and he has helped. Josh Allen's improvement has to be accredited. Stephon Diggs has to get a lot of credit for that. I've then got Julio at 6. I would have put him higher, but his touchdown numbers are decreasing. He's getting a bit older.
Yeah, there's
Mike Thomas's injury, and he hasn't been. He had that world record season, and a couple other all right ones. I've got Tyreek Hill at 7. No, I don't have him at 8 because
Jeez, that's stiff.
my argument there is he's so quick and he's so explosive.
Yeah.
If he doesn't have Patrick Mahomes, I don't think he's as good as what he is.
All right.
And you can't make the argument because we haven't seen it.
Yep.
But I honestly believe that, truthfully, he's so fast. I think he's more track star than receiver. His numbers back up that he is a very good wide receiver. He's top 10. I'm not saying he's a scrub, but without Patrick Mahomes,
He's, top 3, I'd imagine.
I've got Keenan Allen with you. I think he's one of the best route runners in the league. And I've got OBJ. I can't believe you didn't mention OBJ and all of that. He is.
Well, he's burnt me 2 years in a row in fantasy, so fuck OBJ.
So you can't. Those 2 years he was injured, you rubbed them out, put up those other years,
Yeah.
and it's like the poor guy because he's out there. He's a bit of a weird unit, but his footballing skills, his hands, his route running, his speed.
Yep.
Like I hope he can bounce back from last year. Unfortunately, his injuries are all legs. So, but I'm hanging on that he can back it up. He's a freak. People criticize him for I don't know why, because they don't like it, because I don't know. Honestly, don't know why, because his hair's weird. That's all I can figure. His numbers, everything. Amari Cooper, you take out the 1 year he was injured, Amari Cooper's numbers are up there with everyone.
He doesn't catch touchdowns. He doesn't get
Andy
touchdowns.
Dalton and Derek Carr.
Okay. All right.
Andy Dalton and
I
Derek
suppose
Carr.
you
He
did.
will score 12 touchdowns this year.
Okay.
For shits and giggles, I did my list. I backed the same as you, Hopkins and Adams.
Yep.
I followed that with Julio and DK.
Yep.
Macca didn't have DK in his list.
Yeah. Can you explain that?
2 years in the league to be top 10 is a bit rough. And Russell Wilson, I'm not sure he's the best wide receiver on his team.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I followed that with...
He's a list. He's a physical specimen.
Physical specimen. That doesn't mean he's an
Good
all-time
run
wide
right
receiver.
ends.
Yeah,
Pull
again,
up
he's...
DK Metcalf's numbers, please, through 2 seconds.
I followed that with Diggs and Robinson. Then I had Evans. Then I went McLaurin, Jefferson.
You've got to put a guy who's played 16 games in the top 10 receivers
and
all
I had
time.
Hill at 11, and I kind of had the same thought as you.
You guys are mad.
I'd pick those 10 as ones.
I'm getting him on Instagram. You're getting slandered in Canberra, Australia. I'm sure you
I've
can.
fucked up because I put the on the Esky curse on him, so he's going to go off. He's 3,000 yards next year.
My only reasoning was just unfortunate for him. All the other guys are true number ones size-wise. That it's if I was going to pick a wide receiver that I was going to build a wide receiver core around, I'd pick those other guys ahead of him. That was my only reasoning.
I think my 1 and 2 you can't split them. 3 and 4 you can't split them. I think there's a gap there, and I think Cooper, Jones, Thomas are all the same.
Yeah.
And then you've
I'm surprised none of you guys talked about McLaurin.
Again, 2 years this is the top 10 receivers in the league. He's played 30 games.
He's been a good pick for him.
He's been a good pick.
He's very good.
He's very good. I think everyone we've mentioned is top 20. You can't deny that. Justin Jefferson being that high for both of you is ludicrous.
So I think to finish it up, add us in the comments. Give us your top 10. Who do you think your top 10 wide receivers are?
Maybe get this Instagram going. We can probably post ours on there.
Exactly. And we'll have a bit of... See what you say. See if you can back us. Who do you back? Do you back Peps, Macro, or Sean? And we'll see what the fans think.
I'm going to shoot this in.
And I think that'll finish up our NFL chat for the week.
Yeah, it ran a little bit longer than we were expecting.
Well, plenty to get through. And there'll be more, of course, in the
next week. You'll see it. There'll still be cuts. There'll be trades. I still think...
We're entering second phase, I'd say.
Yeah. Deshaun Watson, Russell
AFC.
Wilson... Watch this space. I think there's a little bit more to do.
Yeah.
This is what I think of your list.
My God.
I hope I got that close to the mic.
Dear
That is
God.
so bad. Oh, you're feral. How did you get married?
I don't know.
I think on that note, it's time for the final round.
Final round.
On the
Yes.
SEL.
This is a segment where we wrap up our sports that we really enjoy, but we can't get enough content, I suppose, or enough depth of knowledge, I suppose.
Or stuff just coming up.
I suppose it stops us from having like a 6-hour podcast.
Yeah, that's right. So we try to wrap it up in the final round. We cover a lot of our other favourite sports. Let's start with the UFC. Take it away, Sean.
Yeah, so the official booking finally of Usman versus Masvidal, their second fight, the rematch. So that's actually been booked for UFC 261, which is the 24th of April from memory. Towards the end of April, anyway. It's a pretty quick turnaround for Usman. Gives Masvidal a chance to get most of a fight camp in to get ready for this. But this card's actually still shaping up to be pretty stacked because I think it's got Monkey
should have that card.
It's got Rose. It's got Thug Rose versus Zan on it.
Yep.
It's the what are they? The flyweight,
The strawweight
strawweight
for the belt.
and what's the other title? There's a third title. Is it the
Valentina Shevchenko?
Yeah, the bullet. We were just talking about this.
Yeah,
Odraj. So
Odraj.
Jessica Odraj.
I was watching her throw kicks in the gym. Oh my goodness, the torque that she gets on her leg.
But another card with 3 titles on it, and then what's
yeah, so we got Anthony Smith against our Aussie bloke Jimmy Shoot.
Yeah, Crute.
Sorry.
Yeah. Haha, fuck you.
My God, it's growing. It's spreading.
Pandemic.
But the Aussie boy coming up, he's a bit of a step up for him. against Lionheart, but that'd be a good challenge, I think, because he's trying to make a run at the moment for the light heavyweight title. And what was the last one? Is that that 4 they've got booked at the moment?
It's 4.
Yeah,
It looks like they've got other bouts announced. So you got Weidman against Hall.
Oh, that's not too bad. That's a run. They've fought before. I think that's a run back.
It's probably other.
But it's a good card coming up. Another UFC news: Paulo Costa, the other way around, is out of his fight. Supposedly hasn't recovered from his COVID infection virus that he had a couple of months ago.
I think he's been smashing the red vines too much.
Yeah, that could be. But he was going to take on our boy Whitaker,
Robert Whitaker.
Yeah, but instead Kelvin Gastelum. Kelvin Gastelum comes in for this fight against Whitaker. This is a month away. So it's a bit of a late change.
April 18 in Las Vegas.
Yeah. And then I just saw before that Tim Tszyu is having, I'm assuming that's a world title fight for him because that's what he's angling for. Yeah. That's on March the 31st, which is 2 weeks away. I'm not sure what belt that is. Well, it's a middleweight belt for him. Just not sure who he's fighting against, but I just saw that ad before.
Monkey will pull that up. Also in boxing, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, they're booked for 2.
Yes, so they've got one fight and then, of course, the rematch. So evenly split in the purse for the first fight, and then in the rematch, the winner of the first one gets the 60-40. Of course, Tyson's got 1 belt and Joshua's got the other 3, so it's a unification of all the heavyweight belts.
Good.
Which will be interesting. I'm not sure if they've announced where this is going to take place. I think they probably both want the UK, but because of COVID with the UK, maybe not so much. Could be Abu Dhabi, which is where Joshua had his last heavyweight fight.
Do you think they'd do UK with reduced crowds, perhaps?
Hell no.
No.
Not with the amount of money in the purse they're trying to get out of this.
Right.
I don't think they can, essentially. If they want to pay these 2 blokes, they need a full crowd of people showing up to it.
Why don't they just do it in Tyson Fury's gypsy caravan? True. Some real snatch vibes.
Yeah. What are they called? Pikeys.
Yeah. I think that's offensive. So we're very sorry to any gypsy listeners that we have. I've just been watching a little bit.
Sorry, the gypsy community.
A little bit of Peaky Blinders.
At Mac in the
Blinders, and I do think that's derogatory. Serious ignorance.
Yeah, yes.
Apologies.
Some silly white boys in Australia just don't know what's going on. Did you get the Tim fight? Who's he fighting?
Yep. He's fighting Dennis Hogan.
And is Hogan current middleweight champion of one of the organisations?
If he wanted to be, he could.
Good content here, boys. Good content. I think these notes might need to be a bit more filled out next time.
I only added that one because I saw it as an ad before.
Also, just quickly jumping back to UFC, our boy Bam Bam Tai Tuivasa is fighting Henry Hunsucker this weekend in
UFC
Hunsucker. I hardly know it.
Anyway.
Okay, over to the NBA.
Did
you see Blake Griffin?
I saw this. It's just like,
it's hilarious.
I don't see why he can't give his boys props. He's only just moved.
That's right.
I'm sure he's still got mates on the team.
Exactly. Like, get around the lads and be like,
run us through it.
The Pistons center had a big dunk, and Griffin, who is now on the Nets, got up and then realised.
I think he got a clap.
He got a clap.
He got a half clap in, and then I think he realised which team he's playing for.
Yeah, he was sitting. Yeah, he's only just fresh on the team.
Props to the old team.
It was a good little. I think it was a good little pass underneath.
Yeah,
it was a close game. Pistons took Nets all the way to the final couple minutes. So, so Griffin's on the wrong bench. I thought
that was it. On the Esky G-Up, you were saying, is there a shitter team in the NBA than the Detroit Pistons?
Yeah, they lost, so they're still shit.
I guess.
Sorry, Detroit. No, I'm not sorry. The team's boring and they're shit. Bring back the bad boys. Going on with the Nets, though, they had a really good game 2 days ago with the Knicks. A bit of a New York rivalry, which is awesome to see. I think it was a physical defensive game. There was bodies clashing, going hard for rebounds, and it came all the way down to the final possession. And Julius Randle got the inbound. He's in serious form. He was a very well-earned All-Star, the former top 10 pick for the Lakers.
Speaking of form, I saw Lillard drop 50.
Oh yeah, that was today. Oh, that was very cool. And it yesterday. Sorry, because Zion nearly scored on the buzzer. But back to the Nets-Knicks games. He had a shot for a 3-pointer, and Kyrie was actually defending him. And on the replay, he put his hand out and hit the ball, and Randall regathered and took a bounce and a step. The ref didn't see Kyrie touch the ball, so that's actually travel. If you jump, regather, and go. So and then this is with the 2 seconds left. Ref calls travel, and Randall absolutely loses the plot, and then a couple of the Nets boys, say, hey, just walk away, young fella. You don't know what you. And then so he's going at the Nets boys. He's got 5. He's a big unit, Julius Randle. He had a few, and then he got tossed because he was giving the ref a fair bit of lip. So he was kicking chairs, and he went off, and a bit of chat between. Players on opposition teams and on social media.
Hands on each other?
There's just that there was about 5 or 6 Nets players in between, and God, I think they're matched up right now, or they're close to it to be in the playoffs if it finished today. And God, give me 7 games of that in the playoffs. Just bit of fiery. Knicks basketball, New York Subway Series. It'd be really cool. We want basketball back at the Mecca. MSG. So
they've actually slipped down to 8th. So
2
podcasts ago they were 4th, but it was a log jam there in the East. So they're just a tick below 500, and the Bulls are only a game behind them.
Yeah, right.
After that, it does drop off a little bit down to the Pacers and Raptors. So
there you go.
Would be good to see the Knickerbockers there.
Absolutely, and a bit of cherry on the top to face the Nets. So I think if Nets 1-8, the Nets would hate to face the Knicks. I reckon. I think a little bit of big brother and little brother swap places now. So historically, that's Knicks is. New York belongs to the Knicks, and Brooklyn's just a side note, or New Jersey as they were. So
that's right.
So it'd be pretty cool to see. As you were saying, Sean, Dame Lillard, Portland v New Orleans. Dame's he's just one of the coolest players. He doesn't care about stats. He needs to score for his team to win, and he does. He's the sort of, we talk about Bradley Beal doing that, but getting no luck, whereas Lillard will put up points and drag Portland over the top. If he wasn't on Portland, they would be Detroit-esque. They would be pretty ordinary. So he carries his team to victory. He's
6 of 13 from the perimeter today, and 18 from 18 from free throw.
Yeah. I think that 50-point game, I think he shot 28 shots. Like, that's insane. Also had 10, double-digit assists. So it did come down. He made the free throw, and then there was a full court pass, and Zion caught it, and he threw up a shot on the buzzer, and it just lipped out. So that was pretty cool to see. So Portland pushing for playoffs. Pep says it there for us. So.
Yes, they are 6th, 23 and 16. A game ahead of the Spurs, 2 games ahead of Dallas. They should be there.
They'll be there. They're at the bottom half of the seed, but it's kind of
tough in the West. There,
it's brutal. If they're in the East, they're a top 4 seed. So it's
Speaking of Dallas, Luka keeps cooking.
Oh yeah, today he was very sexy. We had sexy Luka today up against the Clippers. He put the team on his back. True, very true. I don't imagine any time during the day. So he put up the game winning shot on Paul George. Went out, met him, and he put a couple moves on him and whipped around him. I think Paul George had his knees clacking together, and then Luka took it to the hole and had a layup for the win. So, but they got together at the end of the game. I think George said to him, "Geez, you've put me on SportsCenter here." Not in a good way. So, Paul George. He's very enigmatic. He's either scoring big shots, or he's failing in the playoffs, or he's getting dunked on, or he's he's got a hand in the game-winning shot. So
it's towards that point of his career,
we hate seeing the Clippers lose. Oh, it's awful. But again, we were talking about it. We were talking about it last step. It's now post All-Star game. Teams are going to align themselves where they want to finish, and we're going to have a sprint to the finish here. It's exciting times in the NBA.
Yep.
That it for NBA?
Yeah, let's go to a little bit of round ball.
We'll finish up with the soccer by the looks of it.
Yeah.
Champions League football.
Yeah, we were saying one of these fixtures was probably going to be the most interesting. That was Chelsea and Atletico. Chelsea actually cruised today. They win 2-0, 3-0 on aggregate. They go through. Man City go past Borussia Mönchengladbach 2-0. This was in Budapest. Does anyone know why?
Yeah, it's for the German travel bans. There's a lot of bands going in and out of Germany, so I think it was just easier to do it down in
Hungary
Budapest.
Across Europe as well.
Yeah, exactly. So
De Bruyne had 11th minute rocket.
yeah, it was a very good goal. He's good.
Yeah,
That
so
team
good,
is
yeah.
stacked.
Oh,
Gundogan, he's just turned
He's
into
come on
a,
this year. Yeah.
Oh, he is a top 11 player. Like you put those two in your midfield in any team in the world, really. So no wonder they're dominating. They finished 4-0 on aggregate.
Yep.
The other game was Madrid and Atalanta. Keeper makes a mistake for Benzema early on, and pretty good by Atalanta to stick with Madrid.
Real.
Really, you look at that on paper, you think that's going to be a blowout, but I mean, the better team came out on top there. Really, a nice little free kick to Muriel there. For Atalanta, that was something he can talk about going forward.
It gave him a glimmer. If they were able to score there might have been an away goal chance. But Marco Asensio sealed the deal a minute later as Los Blancos goes through. The boys from Bergamo, they've 2 years now in a row in the Champions League. A little known team really before that.
Yeah.
It'd be good to see them continue to push.
Yeah, well, Serie
there
A
in
has completely changed. I think the days when we were
yeah.
growing up, it was the Milans, Juventus, Roma, a bit like your Premier League. Whereas you look at it now and you look at Milan, they'll be 13th, and a bit like Arsenal, how they've fallen off the map. And I think if you look, who's getting relegated? Who's down in the relegation slot? Is it Napoli? No.
No, I don't think so.
Someone's down in a relegation slap. Apologies to put you on the spot there, Peps. But
no, that's all right. No one of note. It's Crotone, Parma, Cagliari, Torino, Benevento.
Maybe it was earlier in the year, but I guess, I mean, God, I'm only human. I'm not following Serie A and every other
Roma's
soccer
in sixth,
contest.
Napoli's
Napoli's
5.
fifth.
Yeah, so.
And the top four is Inter, AC Milan, Juventus.
Is it really?
we really must. Sorry to any of our Italian football fans.
That's a miscusi. That is an all-time blunder. I was due for one. Jesus, that's bad.
Speaking of blunders, I'll go back quickly to last week. I was trying to think of that Norwegian guy that was at Barcelona. The guy I was singing of was Martin Ødegaard, who's actually the captain of the Norwegian team at the moment, 22-year-old. He's at Arsenal on loan from Real. So
it wasn't even Barcelona.
No,
God.
no, and it was a different player.
At least it was Norwegian.
Got
the country right.
Watch out for Norway. They'll be coming. They've
got something on the
increased
right.
numbers in the World Cup and the Euros. The Norwegians. I don't know. They must have a lot of indoor facilities there.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, greatest Norwegian soccer player ever.
Yeah, United.
There you go.
Yeah, that was
on the one night in Munich.
Yes.
When him and Sheringham.
As opposed to that other movie I watched, One Night in Paris. Very disappointing viewing that one.
Moving on.
We've really
It's
we've
late here
limped
on
to
the
the finish
Esky. We've got
line
to wrap
here.
this up.
We have limped to the finish line, but we've got
Quarterfinals. What's the draw? Let's get
the
drawn
last matchup was
Bayern.
Bayern. They cruised past Lazio 6-2 on aggregate. I'd say it's probably them and City. You'd think would be the two favourites.
Yeah, well, good teams left in the draw, which is tomorrow morning.
Chelsea
time,
and Real are still there. But
so Borussia Dortmund, Bayern Munich, Porto, Paris Saint-Germain, Real Madrid, Liverpool, Chelsea, Man City. 3 teams from the EPL there.
3 out
in
of
the
8
quarters.
is very impressive. So they've gone all the way. Chelsea being there is they've got the new coach there, whose name's escaped me, but he's got them playing very tight defensively. So they're playing good on the counter. So they'll be there to mix it up. I think. I agree. Madrid, City, Bayern. Really, I'd love to see Dortmund go on. They've got such a young, exciting team. We talked about Haaland on this podcast. He's spearheading that attack. So. And PSG, can they get a bit of luck, draw? Oh God, we think Porto, but they do Juventus late. So PSG, can they get that elusive Champions League title? So they've got the team.
Went down last year in the final. They've never won it. Which is
exactly.
crazy
So I wonder, bit of luck for PSG. It'll be good to see them win their first. They've spent the money for it. God, that shouldn't be the reason why you win, but
No.
they've been there enough.
They've definitely got the players to do it. Thomas Tuchel is the coach of Chelsea
T-squared.
at the moment.
Thank you, good sir. But that's the world of football as it stands. Sorry to our Italian fans again. That was absolutely stink.
Yeah, we might need to work on that final round. I think the judges have scored that a 10-8 against you on the Esky boys here.
That was the most 8 we could get.
And disclaimer, it is sports that we love, but we're not as good at.
It's lots to follow.
That's fair to say, as our home sports and the NFL. But yeah, we love following them.
Yeah,
and
we still will.
To wrap them up here on the Esky on the final round.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, boys. So that's it. That'll wrap up on the Esky for this week, and we'll be back to our regular scheduled programming next week. Same time. Towards the end,
same place. Or?
Same place, yeah, of course.
The place will be the same. I'm not sure about the time. We'll try to go back to about an episode once a week. We did have a weird sort of 10 days between, and then a couple days between this and the last one.
Quick catch up.
Yeah, due to a few people getting married and engaged, and
I had to play golf in there.
there's a few rounds of golf.
All the important stuff.
It was the start of footy, so we figured it.
Yeah, little double header.
Little treat to you fans out there.
So next week we will wrap up the first round of the AFL and the second round of the NRL. That Champions League quarterfinals will be announced. The draw will be announced. We've got cricket resuming, India and England, a few other teams playing around the world. Domestic cricket, plenty happening in the NFL, and NBA is really starting to heat up.
Yep.
And if it's a sport, we'll talk about it.
Definitely.
Pretty much.
Yes.
Not rugby union.
Not rugby union. Thank you, boys. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you for listening.
Thanks for listening, guys. Click like and subscribe, please.
Like and subscribe.
Instagram's going to be pumping this week.
Yeah, we're going to try and get that Instagram going. And if you do like what we're chucking out, let us know. If you don't like,
whack it in the comments.
Yeah, whack it in the comments what you'd like us to talk more about, what you'd like us to brush up on. We'd love to hear it. We're having a bunch of fun doing this, and we might keep doing it.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. We'll catch you next time on the Esky.
See you all. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.